And we are live. People that are watching us for the first time or whatever you on record, thanks for joining us. We've got a really good mixed bunch on tonight. This is our absolute normal paranormal live chat show. Thanks for joining us. We really do appreciate it, each and every one of us. And if you wish to join us, just let us know. If you've got a story, just let us know. We've got from to the top right, we've got Daniel, Mythical Legends. He's the youngest zoologist in the world. We're not sure whether he's cryptozoologist. That's it. Yep. That's I always We don't know if he's going to make it another year yet, but it's up to me and his dad really. And
you.
we have Paul Howard.
They're bullying me.
And we have Paul Howard. We have Vera from all the way from Portugal. She's a and we've just got VMAC just joining us now. Good evening, mate. Good to see you. Well, to have you here. A very mixed bag, and myself and Paul Howard are paranormal investigators, but everything paranormal comes under the same umbrella. To us, Paul. We are.
Hello there. Hello, Vera.
Hi, Vera.
We've not met before, have we?
I think you're on mute, Vera.
Sorry. Sorry. No,
no, I can hear you now. Can I just ask Vera, are you okay now?
Yes, much better.
I was worried about you.
Thank you.
Okay. Sorry, I still haven't got a camera, but I will have by the end of the week. Okay.
That's all right, mate. You know, what? Yep.
Harlem's in the chat. Did you want me to invite him on?
What? Who's that?
Harlem. Harry,
yes, mate.
is in the chat. Did you want me to send a link to him?
Of course, mate. He's more than welcome to come on. More than welcome.
All right.
Yeah, of course. Oh, I should see it. Yeah, evening, mate.
By the way,
evening.
John
hello.
Said,
welcome.
John said he'd be a little late tonight because he's got his online churchy thing going on, so he'll be a little bit late.
Yep. Well, I know Daniel's on till around about 8:30, and then he's got a chat. Then after that, he's got his bed
with my new friends. Although Vera and V are still my friends.
That's harsh, mate. That is your new friends.
You're always welcome here with your old friends. Like,
that is harsh. Isn't it, Darren? Do you think that's very hard?
Oh, bless you.
Mate, before you join us, mate. Yeah.
You wait till I meet you, mate. You wait till I get there in that Somerset.
He has some VIP friends and VIP friends.
We must be the,
so
we're on the bottom step, aren't we? Now we were on the top.
But can you hear that? Can you hear that?
What's that, money?
No, that's the world's smallest violin. That's how much I care. Anyway,
I thought that was your Greg sausage roll, mate.
I'm trying to start again. Anyway, I mean, we've got loads to talk about. I dare say we're going to overrun, and we're not going to get it all out of the way tonight because we never do. But guess what? That means we're here next week again. So I believe Vera's got a story to tell us tonight. Is that right, Vera?
Yes, that's right. That's true. But first, Daniel, right?
Daniel, have you got a story to tell us?
No.
What do you mean, no? Here? What's going on?
Well,
come on, mate.
You got a sore throat, Daniel?
Well, actually,
you've got a sore throat, ain't you, mate? Oh, that's too big. Where's the minimise button? Wow, that's something out of the paranormal, isn't it?
Yeah. Again, look, he's having fun.
You,
Do not
dare
swear.
you, Paul?
You wait till you meet me, mate. I'm even better in the flesh.
Yeah. Who do you think you are?
I do.
Get your
I
tongue,
do.
how dare you?
I will say I do. I do
I
have
do-
something to
what?
tell Vera.
Go for it quickly before Darren starts talking again.
Vegan. So Vera, I spotted on Facebook there's a Dead Woman's Ditch a paranormal walk or investigation. I thought you might be interested.
I saw it, but Daniel, I'm in Portugal, and I was there.
Yes,
and
but
yes,
I've got a
feel
good
what you
idea.
Darren, you
I
need
have
to
a
go
good
there.
idea. Correct. I was thinking if I go there and I do the walk, and then I know because it's a big area, and then I know the layout of the place and I know exactly where they tell us the activity is, then when you come over next time, if we get up a day early or a couple of days early or whatever, we can arrange a little excursion with yourself up there. Yeah,
Great.
that sound good?
Yes. Yes.
I was actually going to
for
say to you
free.
next time there's something happening. Yeah, is that good?
Yeah.
And
that's
then we'll
wonderful.
spend a couple of days together, all of them. Yeah, if we spend a couple of days together, we sort of might allow us a bit more time. Then we can get to a couple of more places or whatever with you, and do a few. Because we want to do it as well. And Paul, if Paul gets down, he'll be exactly the same.
Oh yeah.
Dead Woman's Ditch, Paul, is supposedly a very active place. There's been bodies found there in the 1700s and so forth. Vera's like us; she's essentially a cryptid and werewolf and things like that. An historian, very clever, I may add, and it's superb to hear the calls and see them on the big screen. And the difference you'll see when I do my video, here he is. To see the difference in the wavelength of a wolf and a dog and everything, and these are very interesting, but also the paranormal. Yeah. So if Daniel's arranging something for next year, we're probably going to have a little tour down there before, but another convention for next year. And hopefully Paul, you and Jen can
Darren,
get down.
I can say that I can say that definitely Vera and that will be over at some point next year to do another something. Now because we're live, I won't say what, but yeah, and Paul.
That's all right, mate. Yeah,
well.
just send it on the private message or whatever, mate. Yeah.
Yeah.
And if we sort of telegraph it to each other a couple of months in advance or something like that, if possible, because I know it's not always possible. Then because obviously I'm one of the lead investigators for Paranation, and she books paid for events. These people are booking now a year in advance, and they're expecting to see me, they're expecting to see them, they're expecting to see the equipment. So it's unfair if I turn around and I just can't do it. If I turn around and say, oh no, I can't do it, sorry, I've got to go up to Bristol or something, yeah, I wouldn't do that, mate, yeah. But at the same time, if I had, like, I was supposed to be up 2 weeks before and the weather was awful, and at the same time, myself and Angela sat here, and she'll convey how terrible I felt at having to turn around and say to you, look, it's not worth coming up because the weather is so bad.
Yeah, and it was kind of
anybody down, mate.
It was. I knew that it wasn't a great time to do it, but then also when we were out in the forest the day before, I was slightly distracted by the Saturday, so I'm like, how can we kind of make this work?
As long as we've got Oh, we got Scott on. Hi, Scott. How you doing, mate? All right. Good to see you. Good to see you. I will get down to you, Scott. I really will. I've not heard anything back about the mattress. I have messaged, whatever. I will get back onto it, mate. But sorry, I've been so quiet. I've been down with Daniel and Vera and V and whatever. So, but I will, honestly. But no, I mean, that's why, try and give us as much notice as possible. Then I can say to do the Hero Foundation, look, I can't do these weekends, whatever. And then that gives us more time together. You'll probably want to come down to Dead Woman's Ditch with Vera and Angela and Paul and whatever, and we can just have a more relaxing, take it easy time, and just take things more in stride.
With me, really?
No, you can't. We know you can't. We know you can't. Right. Sorry, what did you say, Daniel?
You're muted. Why can't we have a mute button?
Yeah.
I reckon that's a bit unfair. That's unfair, isn't it? Yeah.
It is.
Hi, mate. That's
Good evening, Facebook user, whoever that is. Welcome.
That's Scott down in the New Forest, mate. Yeah.
Welcome, Scott. Good to see you on here tonight.
I'm just having a butcher's. Well, I've just had a message to say that we are down in Shepton Mallet again on the 27th, and for Shepton Mallet prison investigation, and we've sold 49 tickets for that one, so it's almost sold out now. So that's great news, absolutely fantastic news. Scott's got a lot of the Witch's Graveyard. This here is somebody you'd like to get to know. Scott in the New Forest. He does a lot of outside haunted locations like Dead Woman's Ditch. He's I'm lucky enough to be sort of like about 45 minutes away from him, and with my camper van, so I'm going to go down and stay a couple of evenings, and we're going to do a few places, and hopefully then later on Paul can join and so forth. But anyway, without Daniel talking too much,
Quick, Daniel, get a word in, quick. Oh, now you're frozen.
How dare you, Darren? How dare you?
Sorry, Greta. What did you say?
Daniel, your mic keeps going off and on. I don't know what's going on there.
How dare you?
Darren, I reckon you should share that mute button.
Let's go and leave these.
What about me? Don't leave me here. That's what's going on today?
No.
Wait till I see you. Wait till I meet you.
Otherwise, I'll come down.
You don't want that. Darren coming down.
Outside the house with a loud Hailer talking all night.
It was hell last time, wasn't it, Vera and V? It was hell having Darren down last time, wasn't it?
It's like having Bigfoot on the loose, isn't it? When he's there.
Yeah.
Oh, come on. I've got my own Bigfoot. Look.
Seriously.
You won that in my raffle.
No, I didn't. I bought that from a charity shop today for £3.
No, I remember that face. I remember that one.
Yeah, there was one in your
raffle. Teddy or Darren's face?
Yeah, go get the one. Look. Yeah, Ben's still got that one. We have two now. Look.
Oh, do you want to see a third one? Come here. I'm going to show you mine.
Oh, that's a real one. That's a real one. And where's yours, Daniel? Where's yours? Oh, no. And here is...
Oh, my God!
There's three of them. But he was all lonely in a charity shop today, so I thought,
Oh,
I love him.
well
I love
done,
him.
Darren.
Yep. So he will be up here somewhere next week. Probably put. I was thinking of putting a bit of rope round there and hanging him up. So I couldn't do that.
Jack, don't let him do that.
Do you know what? I couldn't actually hurt a teddy. Do you know that? Don't let anybody know this, right? I don't want anybody.
But you're live, Darren.
I just forgot that. When I was a kid, I used to have this teddy bear called Toby. He was lying down, and then he'd stand up and he'd go, oh. And Mum washed him.
Oh, God.
And it
Thank God you ain't got him now.
Internals, right? No, got stolen from me by the house mover, mate. And it broke my heart. And then I had this action man, and I know this is extremely bad.
I can imagine what he said.
And he went a bit limp before I knew what that meant.
Oh, yeah.
And
Yeah.
I made him up the bed and everything. I wouldn't use him. I wouldn't put him in that. Anyway, it's enough of that.
You see what I have to put up with, Daniel? I have to put up with this all the time.
I've even got the kids laughing at me now.
That's why I've got no hair. I keep going, oh my God. You stop. That's why I have no hair.
No, it's not. He's been using that wash and go. He washed it and it went.
It went. Yeah. It definitely went. I've been looking for the shower and come and go. It ain't happened, mate. Anyway, Daniel, what news have you got? Quick, get in there. Quick, now.
I haven't got any.
Oh, I've sat on here all night waiting for nothing.
You haven't got any.
Well, apart
What's that all
from
about?
I've got an ED&A meeting this evening to discuss the outcomes that
With his VIP mates.
well with my
Yeah,
other
top step.
colleagues.
Yeah, top step, mates. Yeah, we know. Yeah, that's all right. You carry on. We're
I
showing you
would say
tunes.
Vera and V are up there with them.
Right, thanks for that. Yeah. Thanks for that. Yeah.
Well, Vera came right from Portugal over to here, so she has to be up there.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
because she probably didn't realise what she was getting into. Didn't realise.
I don't know. Maybe it's the opposite. Think a little bit about that. Just a crazy Portuguese woman, just like that.
Well, I'll tell you what, Daniel. I'll tell you what, Daniel. Next time I see you, I'm going to let your tyres down on your bike. For being putting me on the bottom
I
step.
would do that if I was you. I've
I would.
got two. I've got one very, very big dog. I've got loads of cameras outside, so I really wouldn't pull.
You wouldn't tell the difference if I was doing a handstand.
I'm a hoodie.
Yeah, yeah. Looks like a monk, doesn't he?
Darren, you can see from a mile off, Darren. I can see you from a mile off.
It's that shine on your head that does it,
Not
like a lighthouse.
Not my stealth mode. I dress all in black and I don't eat baked beans for a week.
Yes, that's just as well for us then.
Otherwise, you won't see me, but you'll have a hell of a hear me.
Well, he was coming anyway, wouldn't we?
Oh God!
When I was a kid, a jacuzzi was a tin of baked beans in the bath. Anyway,
Anyway,
before you get, people normally pay for this. Anyway, well, that's what my
they're paying
ex-girlfriend used to say every time. Anyway.
very, very good people, and one not good person.
well, yeah, I'll go with that.
Who said I'm a person?
Well, no, somebody swore. Somebody
Good
swore
night,
on there,
Amy.
called you a person. Who's
You're
swearing?
Bigfoot.
No,
And
no,
do you know what? Right, and this is a serious note.
definitely not. Shh,
They
don't
reckon
tell
that
him.
90% of people that have actually witnessed a UFO have been abducted. 90%. It's that high.
Are
And
you in the
I
10%
have
that they
actually
turned
seen.
away? They dropped you back.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
Got on the ship, said, no, drop him off. He's
that's
not
about
stopped
it,
talking
mate.
for the time we got him.
I've seen loads and loads of strange lights. I've seen revolving lights on the ships, and so countless. I've forgotten that many. They keep coming back to
That
me.
just means you've been
And
rejected that many times, Darren.
well, I've
They've
actually
just
got
blown past. There he is. Keep going.
my friend Terry Lynch, who sadly passed away last year. Really, really top friend and a real gentleman as well. He had a friend, and I met him, Ernie, and we used to call him Ernie the Alien because I wish I could still contact him now, because Ernie was absolutely convinced
Maybe you
that
can't,
he
Darren.
had. Well, he'd absolutely convinced that he had been abducted and that he wasn't from this planet, because he used to sense certain, and he really did do it. He was different. Luke Gosling, he's on. Sorry, mate, I didn't only just
Hi,
saw that.
Luke. Good evening, Luke. Welcome.
Yeah, and we used to call him Ernie the Alien. He swore he wasn't an alien, and there was something just different about him. But that's when I started looking into it, and I reckon that 89.7% of people that have been seen witness to a UFO have been abducted, but they use this time slip. But anyway, we've done 22 minutes there. I'm going to hand over to Vera because and here comes Angela as well. So you've got a good time here, Vera, because Angela's just joining. Look at it.
I was just waiting for Angela. Hi, Angela.
Hi, mate.
Yeah, Luke.
Evening.
How you doing, mate?
Not bad.
Pleasure to meet you, Vera, honestly, at the event. Honestly, it really was. Shame we couldn't have come on to Dead Woman's Ditch. As I say, next time you come over, we'll find out, and we'll have a few days either side, yeah? But over to you.
But just to let you know, I was there before I leave UK. I decided to go the day before. Yes, and it was definitely kind of weird, but in a good way. So I didn't feel bad at all. Well, we will speak about that.
That's good.
So you want my testimony, right?
Yes.
Okay. So these things, let's say paranormal things that, it's a lot of things. And during all my life, I have more than a few experience. But last year something happened to me, and until today, I cannot explain what it was. Even if I was already connected with the investigation with the creatures like the Sasquatch, Basajaun, Bigfoot. So I'm not saying that it have to do with that, because it was totally different. So I was working in the north of Portugal, in the Douro Valley. And of course, I'm just in that part of my professional area. I'm just a tourist guide. I'm not supposed to stay in the 5 stars hotel like my clients. And I stay in an old house, an old hotel with just a few bedrooms. And during the first night, it was everything okay, everything quiet. The hotel was full of people, but it have that floor, the wood floor, that every time someone walks, you can hear everywhere. But so it was a quiet night. But before I wake up, and a lot of things have happened during all my life, and it was always before I wake up. let's say around 6 a.m., more or less. And so I was in that part that I was not totally awake, but I wasn't sleeping. And I start to hear a few steps outside of my bedroom. And my first idea was like, well, probably the people that work in here, the employers, are coming earlier to prepare breakfast or something like that. But the thing is that just like that, I start to feel, a kind of afraid, let's say. And that's when I start to really wake up. But I was still with my eyes closed. I was really afraid. I don't know how to explain. And I felt that something was in the other side of the door of my room. And I don't know how, because the door didn't open, but what it was, it just get in the room. And I start to hear like footsteps coming next to me. And what happened was that whatever it was, I was really, really afraid. I was not capable of open my eyes. And the thing is that the light, the sun that this was around July or August. The sky was coming up, so it was not. It was early in the morning,
You,
but it was.
you had daylight basically, yeah. You had light in the room. You could see your surroundings,
Yes,
so
yes.
you knew there was
Even
nobody.
even with my eyes closed. And so what I felt was this: something was just next to me in my bed. And just like that, first I start to hear moving because I have like the key of the van, my phone, and other thing I don't remember, just next to me in the little table next to the bed. And so something touch, especially in the key. So I hear things being touched. We are talking about just seconds. Everything was very quickly, and that's why I was really, really, really scared. And then I felt something putting like I don't know if it was the hands or the foot in the top of my bed. And so I felt like, uh, things, my
The
bed
bed was
moving, if
uneven. You're
something.
like,
Yes, and then
yeah.
I just decided I'm going to open my eyes. I need to see what's happening. I don't care if I'm afraid. And I opened my eyes, and there was nothing there, you know. And so that was the last big experience I have. And it was really, I think, even if I had a lot of weird things during all my life, and things that imagine, uh, I dream about, and then a few weeks later happen. Those are the kind of things that I really don't like it, but because usually it's bad things, it's not really good things.
Yeah.
But that one, it still makes me think. And after that day, a few days after, something similar appears, in this case in the south of Portugal, in another hotel. But it was very different because I felt something again, and it was during the night, around 3 a.m. I checked the hours, 3:30, something like that. I wake up in the dark. I cannot see anything, and something was like coming to the top of my bed, and it was like, it seems like something with little foots, moving near my foots and my legs. And then I opened the light, and there was nothing there. And 2 days ago, something happened again, not in my house, not in here, because when I leave UK, I went to São Miguel, one of the Azores Islands. So it was in my last night in the hotel. So I'm not going to any hotel again. I don't care. I will sleep in the van because in the hotels, all of these crazy things happen. I don't know. So that's my
Well,
testimony. Even if
yeah.
I have,
I mean,
I have plenty, but
I think on that note that nothing harmed you. You were scared, maybe that was your fight or flight instincts, because we all have it. You know, our adrenaline starts going, and sometimes we we take that for, oh God, I'm scared, so I've got to run away instead of stand and fight. Now, the fact it's happened to you, and Paul will give his opinion in a second, and nobody's ever going to be 100% right on this, but perhaps because it's happening to you when you're in a hotel and not at home, perhaps somebody or something doesn't feel you're as safe when you're in a hotel away from your home as you are when you're at home or locked up safe. Therefore, or they are with you and they don't feel safe in the hotel, and therefore somehow they're trying to wake you up and say, hey, I don't like it here, or perhaps they're just letting you know they're there looking after you, something along those lines.
Vera, are you near? Was it near an orchard? You know, lots of trees. The hotel with lots of trees around you.
Oh yes, yeah. Especially the first one. I don't know if you know the Douro Valley. So it's all about vineyards. Well, it's more about that, but it was still a house in the middle of the fields. So there was no other houses around. And the other hotel in Évora, same thing. It was in outside of the city. Also, just the hotel in the middle of the fields with a few trees around.
But what type? Because what I'm thinking is, if you heard of elementals, which are Mother Nature's protectors, you heard of them, Darren?
Yes,
Yeah, what they are.
Yeah.
The elementals are Mother Nature's protectors.
Oh,
and
okay.
And if you're in a wooded area, sometimes when places are built in a very high concentrated woodland, i.e., is a woodland, and then it's all cut down to make a hotel, a house, that type of thing. And these little elementals, as they're called, are protectors, because you've cut down their home. Generally, they stay around the land where the house, the hotel, or that is built. Generally, they can come indoors and play, stand on the bed, play with things, but you can't see them. We're not able to see them, but we can sense them.
Okay.
And that's what I'm getting. I think it was an elemental that you're experiencing there. It's not necessarily you. It's probably in the land.
Okay.
It's not following you. It's just the hotels are built in woodlands, aren't they? They've just cut the woods down and build these massive hotels, and a lot of nature is disturbed by it. And the elementals are protectors of Mother Nature,
Oh, yeah, I know, but for example, in the Azores, it was in the middle of the city. So the hotel, it's a normal hotel, just surrounded with houses.
How old is the city? Do you know?
The oldest one was for sure the first one in the Douro Valley, and that one could be from around the 18th century. All the rest, it's kind of new. 20 years, 25 years, not more than that.
Yeah.
They are kind of new hotels. And I'm very sorry, but now I was, I keep trying to remember everything. And I was saying bad things about the hotels. No, sorry. It happens once in my house, in my bed. Sorry. Now that I was like, I was remember that it was like 4 times. I wasn't remember where, but yes, it was here. And it was exactly like this one. Well, the last one or the second one. Just a few steps near my legs and my foot, Just something playing in the bed. And in the middle of the night, always in the middle of the night, not like the first one. And I never, with those.
I just think Daniel's off now. Daniel's popping off.
I'm off now, guys.
See you later, Daniel.
Right,
Daniel,
if I can get back on, I will. All right, guys.
Okay,
Yes, mate.
not a problem.
Bye, guys.
We'll
Bye.
see you Sunday or whatever, mate. All right.
You know,
Yeah, sorry
Vera,
about
when
that.
this happened, was there a temperature change? Did you notice if it was cold, got colder in the room?
No, because that things happen when something, and that happens a lot in my houses, everywhere since I was very young. The temperature change when I felt something. It's cold, and when I start to feel something in my body, and then it's like a cold and air going next to me. It's not around me, just next to me. It was not the case in any of these ones. So that's why I don't know exactly what it was. It was
Yeah,
it was very weird, very very weird.
strange. Because even in the
Yes.
paranormal, even when you do get a spirit contact, it's not always cold. The temperature can rise, can't it? It can get hotter. If people associate it gets freezing when the spirit arrives, but that's not always the case. It can get hotter in the room. Temperature rises because of the amount of energy that spirit brings in. It's
Yes.
a strange thing.
The only in the other ones, in the last three, because I wasn't really afraid, I didn't feel afraid. I think it was easier for me to see that changing of the temperature, and I don't think it was any changing. But in the first one, I don't know how to explain. I don't know. I was sleeping. I have a very nice night, and I was just almost awaking when everything started. And just like that, I start to feel really afraid of something that I didn't know what it was. From thinking that it was someone that was working for the hotel crossing until starting to think that no, wait, that's something getting in my room, and it's not, and the door, I didn't hear the door open, and that's when everything changed. But I don't know if the temperature changed, because I was very very afraid,
Yeah.
really.
Yeah.
I was like freezing totally, and I really didn't know what to do. But that's the experience that I really wanted to, well, the first case that I wanted to report to someone, in this case to you, because you're specialized in that. And I really have a lot more to tell you, but this one, it stays in my mind,
Yeah. Did you notice the time? What
No,
was the
that's a
time?
fun.
Oh, the time, the first one, it was around 6 a.m., 6 something. The sun was coming up. So it was in the middle of the summer.
Wow.
All the other ones was always around 3:30, something like that. Always in the middle of the night. Always.
Interesting. Bit different times as well.
Yeah.
You know. Does she hear footsteps the rest of the time? Do you hear footsteps the rest of the time, like Jenny's asking?
Sorry?
With the other experiences that you've had, have you always heard footsteps first?
No.
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 Mm.
It was the first time I heard steps, because all the other experiences that I have through all my life, it was more about shadows, the cold, always cold, never hot, something near me, seeing someone. It was not just a dark a shadow, just seeing someone, a man, a woman, just beside me, and then look, and there was nothing there. So only that. I never heard. Well, I never hear any footsteps. Never. Was the first time.
Mm. That's interesting, isn't it?
Very interesting. Yeah.
What's your take on it, Darren?
Well, I think you could be spot on an elemental, and it has actually come to mind. Sometimes when you're in these forests and you're looking for things like this, that you hear something or you find something disturbed, it could be an elemental, because it is there by nature to be its protector. and the destruction of. Oh, we've got somebody else here. Hi, Chris. Good. Luke and Chris have just joined us, and John as well. Good to see you guys.
Hi, Chris. Hi, Luke.
Yes, hello, everyone.
You know, I mean, you can't. I mean, look, we've been looking for years at what we're doing in our specialist areas, whether it's been looking for a cryptid, whether it's been looking for a spirit, whether it's looking for a demonic entity, whether it's looking for an angel, whether it's looking for a big cat. And some of us have been lucky enough to get there and see something. But you're not going to see an elemental because it's impossible to see it. An elemental is founded in with the woodwork, the framework of nature. It's there. And if you look around the world, I mean, my biggest strike for this world that humans are doing is the destruction of the rainforest. And this has been going on for just simply years upon years upon years. And without the tools, we're not going to breathe. It's simple as. So, and man still destroys it simply for financial gain, and it's allowed to carry on. So, you know, if I was an elemental, what would I do? If I saw somebody moving into a forest near me, I'd want to know what the hell they were doing, and I'd probably want to scare them away as well. Don't come back. This is a forest, you know, leave, if that makes sense, you know. A bit like if somebody came into your house and started chopping away at your house plants, you'd be, hey, that's my plant, yeah? What are you doing? You know, does that make sense?
Yeah. You know? It's like four parts. They're like the four parts of the elements, aren't they? Earth, wind, fire, and water.
Yeah, absolutely, Paul. Absolutely.
That's what it's part of, isn't it?
And I mean, yeah, absolutely. So, you know, these things go back to before we were here, well before we were here, and they're very complex, whatever they are. They're a complex being, complex organism. And they're going to be here a lot longer after we've gone. After I believe man's going to wipe himself out again. I believe man has been here before. We've even found tracings of helicopters in caves, not just UFOs and man flying, but actual helicopters. And I think, you know, he'll wipe himself out again. And maybe some of these things that we find in the wilds, big cats or so forth, are, you know, in the 80s when the licensing came out and got more restricted, kicked outside. But maybe some of them are here from before, a bit like a crocodile is, you know? I mean, a crocodile defies all logic, really, because it survived from the prehistoric age, hasn't it? Supposedly.
Well, I watched a program once about somebody having a problem in their house with elemental, and they were investigating the house, and it spent most of the night with this elemental rushing around the house doing all sorts of things. And eventually they traced it to when they first moved in there in the house, there was this big apple tree that was in the way. So they decided to chop the tree down. And that's when it first, that's when the problem started, is because the elemental was defending its ground. By chopping the apple tree down that was 300-400 years old, they've destroyed its home. And it was there to protect itself from anything else happening. It's a very interesting program on elementals and imps. Really interesting. But the elemental that they eventually found out what it was the cause of the problem. So what they had to do was plant another tree and give the tree back to the elemental. And then the problem stopped. Yeah, problem stopped.
That's, you know, another amazing story. I've not heard of that one. I don't know if anybody on here has heard of it before. But I think man's just gone overboard personally. You know, we want a new sideboard, so we'll chop a forest down. We want to, you know, I think these
So-
things are setting with technology, AI, everything's taking over. It's leaving these things unresearched and so forth. The only
But
people
we're
that are
also,
out
we're,
there,
but we're also encroaching on their land, aren't we? Do you
It's
remember
not our
these
land,
cities are getting
theirs.
bigger and bigger, and we're encroaching into the land that's theirs, aren't we? So it's not always the building that's haunted; it's the land.
It's land, and it goes back centuries,
Yeah,
generation. And who's to say that I mean, the strange thing was when we were down, we obviously came down on the Friday. We went into the woods that Daniel and his nan go into, and we got to the top, and I mean, it's all set, obviously the Quantock Hills. Yeah, it's all up and down, and we got to the top, and over to the right hand side, I just stopped, and I'm like looking over, and I said, you know what? I'm just drawn over there. There's a few pines, there's a few beeches, and Angela, I've got a feeling over there as well. And Daniel and his nan just both looked at each other, and they looked at us and said, ever since we've been coming to these woods, that's the area we've been drawn to. However, we can't get into it because it's too dense. So obviously in the summertime, you've got all the bushes and so forth grown up and whatever. And we walked around the back, and obviously they've dropped down quite a lot now because it's going up the autumn winter time. So all the ferns are dying off and whatever. And Daniel went, we can get in there. I said, well, I can't because I can't climb up. I said, I'll slow you down. You go off. Now they were in there. I was outside leaning on the stairs. I said last night on the call or whatever, and I heard some strange things. But they all seemed to. Some thought they were gone for like 20 minutes. Some thought they were gone for 40 minutes. It was coming up to an hour that they were gone for. I stood there looking at my watch, and in the end, I tried texting them because I'm thinking they're lost, But as far as they were concerned, so is there something in there that's a time slip? Is there a portal? Is there an elemental? It can go on and on and on, can't it? But what I'm going to do, I am now going to. I've got a good friend I've known for a number of years. Lives down in a place called Cornwall. He's near Goodwood racetrack in Sussex, and he really lived. He's been in the mines. He's been up the mountains. He's been a cropper. He's he's done a bit of everything. He's worked for PA Systems, and he's now 60 years of age, and he's only just recently come out of hospital. He suffered from MS for the last number of years, and in 2020 he got really bad. He could still walk on a Zimmer frame, drag his legs along, but then all of a sudden he collapsed, and he ended up in hospital, for 16 weeks. And his right leg has almost come up. He can't move it. It's almost in the fetal position. And he's got a hospital bed in his front room. Thus, the fact I'm telling you this, because I didn't want to video the poor sod in that setting. Does that make sense? Is that fair? I don't think it's fair to video record a man in that situation. So what I did do, very amateurishly, I used a phone to record him. I was down there mid last week, and I will play now the recording, if I can, of what I got with him. It's about 14 minutes long. It's completely non-edited, and this is basically he saw a big cat. He reckons, now John may be able to narrow it down, or on what type of black cat this may be, because he gives quite a good description. So I'm going to get arm ache now by holding my phone up, or I may be able to plug it up there. We'll see. But here we go. As it goes off.
Okay, I'm with Howard, who
You'll hear that?
used to live down the far west, Howard. That's correct, isn't it? Cornwall, yeah, Cornwall. And Howard had the privilege of seeing a big pussycat at one stage, I believe, isn't it?
Yeah. Looked very much like human.
Whereabouts was it, Howard? What area?
St. Ivor Creamery.
St. Ivor.
Yeah. Which is other side of St. Austell.
So, what, the west side of Cornwall? Okay. Ivor Creamery.
Yeah.
I know St. Austell. Yeah.
Because that's where I lived actually, was Copper at the time. And I was driving home on a very long stretch of road, and it was very dark, and I knew at the end of this road I had a turning. The simple reason there was a soapbox.
Yep.
Looking at the soapbox, and something caught my eye on the road as I was driving. This was about 200 yards away, 300 yards away. And I was thinking, what's that? And it looked at me. So it was a cat. I thought it was a cat. I thought it was to start with.
Can you remember the colour of its eye? You can.
Fluorescent orange.
Fluorescent orange.
Because it looked straight at me as it was walking across the road. And I could not take the eyes of it as it was walking across the road. Slowly but surely. Of course, by that time, I dropped my speed right down and I was literally meters of where I thought it was. So I got into a drainage ditch on the right-hand side of the road, and I come to a halt, and we burst up a bit. I let the window down, which I thought was stupid.
Yeah, you couldn't think at the time.
Hindsight, I looked out of the window and down into this ditch, and there was the biggest cat I had ever seen.
It was still there.
No shadow of doubt. It was huge. Its tail giving it this.
Looking up and down.
Yeah. And I looked at it, and it was looking up at me, but shyly looking up at me, which almost said to me, it was sort of fearsome, frightened.
Yeah.
And I looked at this cat for ages. I looked in front and behind to make sure nothing was coming, because this was about 8:30 in the evening. On evening.
8:30 in the evening. So basically, recap, you're coming down a long road, you've seen what you thought was a cat, so you slowed down for it. You've seen its fluorescent orange eyes in your headlamps. It's gone into a drainage ditch. You pulled alongside and stopped, and you're now looking down into a drainage ditch at this huge cat, which is, I mean, if you likened it to the size of a dog, what dog would you like it to the size of? I mean, would it
Great
be
Dane.
a Great Dane?
If it was a dog, yeah.
A Great Dane?
Yeah, easily. With a bloody great big tail.
My God.
It's huge.
So you're indicating about 3 foot, 4 foot tail?
Oh, crikey. 2.5 feet. 3 feet.
3 feet tail.
Had to be 3.5 feet.
3.5 foot tail.
Yeah,
Fluorescent orange eyes and the size of a Great Dane.
and black.
And how long?
Oh, crikey. Seemed like ages. I'll be honest with you. It seemed like ages.
Time stopped.
Time totally stopped for me. In actual fact, it totally stopped whereby I actually switched the engine off, which another thing I thought was bloody stupid.
Did you have electric windows?
To be quite honest with you. But I switched the engine off, and I was just wondering what it was going to do.
You were sort of in shock in a way.
Because 2 days before, I talked about this with a couple of my friends at the site. I went to see them that evening.
Right.
She called her cat in because she had 7 cats. She called one of them, oh, come on, where are you? She whistled and everything else, and there was this cat looking at her. She said, come on then. And then she realised that wasn't her cat. It was a big one. A very big one.
So whatever it was in this area living. And what year would this have been then?
Right. (2001).
So quite recent, really.
1999 to 2001. I think
Quite
that
recent.
was.
So the chances are it's still there.
I don't know. And you can't tell. I am pretty sure it was one that was let out because in the 70s you couldn't keep animals like that.
Yeah, they got new licenses, didn't they? Yeah.
And I think they just opened the cages and let them bloody go, to be quite
Yeah,
honest.
they could have well done. Perhaps that's why it wasn't so scared of humans as well.
Yeah,
Because if it's lying there, in a ditch, and you're looking at it out your window, you would expect it to fight or flight, kick in, and
I've seen pictures of cats like that actually in fields, running down hills and things like that, and looking round at people, and you think, oh, that's a little boggy. Oh, it's a little bog. And then you look at the section and everything else, and you think, no, that's not a little moggy. That's a bloody big moggy.
yeah.
This one was black. It's been seen, or one has been seen, at David's. Davidstow is where I saw this one virtually, on the road to Snorstall. The one that has been seen down the bottom half of Cornwall at St Just.
Yeah. Oh, nice and just, lovely place.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Well, that was down by one of the quarries there. One of my, I can't call him an absolute friend. He was an associate. He was one of my mates' friends. Okay, he went cycling. He was a youngster. He was only about 12, 13 at the time. He went cycling with one of his pals, and they went shooting up this clay quarry, shooting up there, come over the top. As they dumped down back onto the ground again, there was this tan, looked like a lion to them to start with.
Yeah.
I was looking at them,
So this was lion coloured.
just stood there looking at them, and they well, to be quite honest, frightened out their wits.
Yeah, I can appreciate
They
that. Yeah.
just come dumping straight down on these.
I would imagine they wish they had a car window to do up, and
they were BMX bikes.
Yeah.
They come to a halt, and there's this animal looking at them, and it twigged them that they were little. That it wasn't a little cat, and I don't know which one said it first, but one flew off, drove off, rode off, and the other one followed it, and that was it. And the cat went the other way. But that was huge, apparently. That was another from the bed to about here.
So it'd be about 4 foot tall, long, 4 foot long. We would
Yeah, I'd say that.
4 foot.
Yeah.
4 foot.
And
And would that be before your sighting or after? Was that before your sighting or after?
well, I went down because I had a friend that worked at St Just, GM6 Spares, who used to look after my car.
Okay.
And I told him the story of Fred and Straw up at David's Stowe Creamery. And he said, oh yeah, he said, Keith's got a friend that saw the cat as well. I said, did Keith see it? He went, oh yeah, Keith saw it. And I went round and he's working on the car and I had a chat to him about it. And he said, yeah, this one was like a brownie, not brittle, just a lightish brown colour, you know.
So it could have been a young lion or something like that.
Well, I don't know whether it was lion, but it's more leopard, even though it didn't have the leopard colouring, you know, apparently.
Mind you, I suppose when you're in that situation, if you're faced with a big cat, you know, you're pretty quick to sort of like go, whoa, what do I do now? And you're not so much taking the detail in as much as you could.
I'm like off like someone's wiping my ass.
Yeah, you know, to sit there. So how long would you say, I mean, what, on your experience, you're sitting there, windows down, you're looking at the cat's looking back at you, he's switching his tail. Who left first, you or the cat?
Oh, indeed. And he led me, or the cat led me.
Yes, I would agree on that.
I literally started the engine up and gave him one last look, or one last look, and we just stayed there. And then I let the windows go up and drove off. And I thought, right, as soon as I get back to St Austell, Copper, I'll phone her up and tell her. And I got back there past the phone box, which I thought I was going to get to first, and this cat came on. And I drove all the way to Copper, and I told Sue about it, partner at the time, and phoned her up and said, I've just seen the big black cat. She said, that is it? She said, oh, lovely. She said, I'm glad someone believes us being Fred as well. Fred was, she was a monster. She was 6'1" woman. Quite good. Yeah. But she'd seen the cat. And Straw had seen the cat as well. He was a lot shorter that much shorter than her anyway.
So it's a well-known thing down there.
Yeah, it was. Oh, no, it was. All through the 70s. I've seen it as well. All through the 70s because I was there in the very late 70s anyway. Mid-70s, late 70s, I was there.
And so it's quite highly regarded as a real thing.
Hell yeah. Yeah.
That's incredible, mate. Thanks for that. I will go home and edit this for Daniel. and put it on the channel for us. I'm a great believer that I've seen things myself as well. When I lived in Scotland.
Yes, I believe it.
Yeah.
I believe it. I believe it.
So, it goes on a little bit from there, but that's 15 minutes of him, and I think you'll agree, quite a descriptive, good description for somebody that is 60 years old and are very frail in their bed. He's gone down from 14 stone to 9.5 stone, so he's a little bit on the under the weather. The poor old bugger. Hopefully gets better. But I mean,
Has there
John,
not
what
been
do you think of
sightings
that
on
description?
Bodmin, though, Darren? Has there not been sightings of Big Cat on Bodmin?
Yeah, there has. There has. Well, I mean, John's the man to ask here. What's
Yeah.
your thoughts on this, John?
Well, there are, I think, 32 different species of cat in the world. But although all of them will occasionally throw up a melanistic or a black specimen, because when an animal is black, it means that it's got more melanism, which is the dark color pigment in their body. But the most what's that noise? I don't know. The two most common of the two species which will have a color morph called a panther, and these are leopards and jaguars. And of the two, leopards are the most common in captivity. You're right, Chris. There is Bodmin story. There are stories of big cats in Bodmin. I saw one myself on the road between Bolventor and Jamaica Inn back in 1997, in May 1997. So I know that these things are there. The thing that I saw was a puma, a half-grown puma, and I didn't see its head, but I saw its body walking slowly across the road, and it couldn't have been anything else but a puma. My guess that any big black cats are going to be melanistic leopards or black panthers, as they're commonly known. There's no doubt in my mind that these things exist in Britain. Back in 2010, some colleagues of mine, actually at a conference that I was putting on, went up into the local woodlands and found some hair samples, which, when we had tested, having tested both morphologically and for DNA, and they turned out to be a leopard. And I'm absolutely certain that these things exist here. The interesting thing is, what role do they fulfill in the ecosystem? What plan has Mother Nature got for these creatures? Because we've got a very artificial ecosystem. We wiped out all our big carnivores centuries ago. The last one to go was the wolf. And even now, where wolves have recolonized all of Western Europe, we're the only, us and Ireland are the only countries in Western Europe not to have wolves now. And we wiped out our wolves, depending on who you believe, in either the 16th or 17th century. We wiped out the brown bear about 700 years before that. We wiped out the lynx, depending on who you believe, sometime between 800 AD and 1400 AD. And our whole ecosystem has no large carnivores. The largest carnivore we've got is the otter. And so as humans have reintroduced these creatures, they've reintroduced large carnivores into the ecosystem. The thing that fascinates me isn't, are they there? There's enough evidence for us to say, yes, they are there. But what are they doing? Are they repairing the ecosystem? Which is what I think. or are they making it worse, which is what the government would like us to think? So that's
John?
what I think
Did the Romans not wipe out the white bear?
white bears have never been native to this country. Occasionally, even as most recently as the 17th century, ice floes from the Arctic would float down and had polar bear cubs on, but they're only ever here by accident. I think.
I can only say what on that explanation, John. Wow, thank you so much for that. You know your stuff. That's all I can say. I don't know about the others, but that's sort
Interesting.
Well, especially on this channel, Paul. I mean, this is what we've been after, mate. You know, people that can give an explanation just like that. I can see Chris watching down below. He's what would you say, Chris, on that? I mean, what would your thoughts on that? Because you've tracked a lot of things like this.
I've explored this area thoroughly over the years, and I know when we were kids, we found a cow that, a young bullock that showed the signs of the way a big cat would attack it. With the claw marks down each side on its back, from the center and going backwards. Only thing that stood out was it was three claws rather than the four, but that was like when we were kids. So we're talking 35 years ago. So it's something I've always followed the reports, and there are continuous reports. They resurface every couple of years, but very good.
I think what John said was really interesting. That three really good points. One that I think I forget all the time is whatever species of cat it is, it will throw up a black one every now and again. That's an important one. So perhaps when we're investigating these cats, not to just go on colour, and just go on size and tone and whatever. I think the second one was that beyond a shadow of a doubt, we have got enough evidence now to say these cats are in the UK. Let's stop denying they're here and the speculation that they are or they aren't, because we've got so much evidence. And the third thing is, and believe me, I mean, V will agree with me on this, so I don't naturally believe the government at all, because they're just a load of puppets as far as I'm concerned. Which is true. And you've got to say, well, yeah, are they? I mean, that's made me question now. Are they there to helping to repair the country, or are they there to destroy it? I would side with repairing. Because we've got all these non-native species come in, which just destroy our ecosystem as it is anyway. So I don't know what other people's opinions would be on that.
I think that the big cats are going to grow in number for a long time because we're overpopulated with deer, and the COVID epidemic thing stopped people going out hunting, and now they've exploded. The whole deer population has exploded, and so we need large carnivores out there to take care of that. Because as John said, we've already got rid of our bears and our wolves, and so it seems to me that it's inevitable, especially when you've got the government and MAF and all these organizations pretending that we don't have these things out there.
Yeah, great. I mean, the amount of evidence we've got, I mean, it's like saying there aren't UFOs in the sky, isn't it? And there's no intelligent life on other planets. there's more stars in the solar system than there are grains of sand on the Earth, and we're the only.
But a lot of that is not to cause mass panic, isn't it? Let's be honest. Because if you start saying we've got big cats in the environment or in the ecosystem, and there's UFOs and there's ghosts, and can you imagine the mass hysteria that would cause? So it's better to sweep it under the carpet and say, no, he couldn't have seen that. There's no such thing as that.
That is a good point, because I mean, lynxes bear almost no threat whatsoever to humans unless it's a toddler that's unaccompanied, and they very rarely even take farm animals like young sheep or whatever. And yet, the moment that people have talked about rewilding in certain areas with lynxes, which are really beautiful animals that I'd love to see out there, most of the farmers, because they don't know anything about this wildlife, they instantly say, no, we don't want those. No, they'll eat all our sheep. Yeah. And that's just with little lynxes. So
yeah, but it's also the governments work through a what's the bloody word? I'm losing my bloody brain again. Work through a policy of creative inertia. Because if a government admits something exists, then they're going to have to do something about it.
Yes,
absolutely. And it's easier to say, no, they don't exist. Because governments like to do as little as possible.
But that's where your hysteria comes in, isn't it? If they can deny it, then they don't have to deal with it. They don't have to deal with the public, and they don't have to make an explanation for it. It's better to sweep it under the carpet and move on. And no. But you don't believe everything you're told because there's too much evidence now.
That's like the UFO situation, isn't it? We know those things are interacting with people and traumatizing them. But the government won't admit it, because then they have to admit that there's this technology out there that's superior to theirs, and they can't do anything about it, and they're not going to do that.
I've got another theory on that one. I'm not going to go into it too long tonight because obviously off topic. But I mean, I think a lot of these things that we see in the sky are our own technology, which we've been shared from alien technology, such as Kevlar is alien technology without a shadow of a doubt. Man could never have come up with that with the chemical compositions and so forth alone. But, you know, where's the best? I mean, the Navy ships see these things all the time, yeah? You know, they're coming in and out of the sea, and most sailors have seen some strange anomaly in the sky. So if you've got something that's super fast, which can turn on its axis to 3,000, 4,000 miles an hour, then, Chris, absolutely, mate, not a problem. Thank you, Chris, for so much for coming on, mate. It's really, really is appreciated you coming on the show. And commenting and helping us out, mate. It really is.
I'll try and get in on the next one.
Thanks, Chris. Nice to meet you.
Yeah, and you guys. See you later.
Yeah.
Bye.
Thank you, mate.
Here's a question for you, Darren. If we go through history, right?
I think they are ours against our ships. But go on, Paul. Go on, mate.
Think about going back in history, okay? How many of these super special people that have come onto this planet, you know, the penicillin, you know, all these Einstein and all these sorts of people, do you think they've been put on here to move us forward in time because we're lagging? So the aliens dropped someone in here that's super special, you know, to bring us forward. You know, who would have thought penicillin from a mouldy bit of cheese? You know, who would have thought? Who sits and thinks about relativity with an apple falling? And is that because we're lagging behind? They drop someone in.
Well, a person on here now, I think shares a lot of same opinions as me. Is V. I mean, what do you think of what Paul just said, V?
I think that neurodivergent people and certain other types of um, um, divergent from the average person type. I think that's a natural part of humanity, and if it wasn't for people that are neurodivergent, we'd probably still be living in caves.
Yeah, exactly.
that you need this thing that makes people think in different ways from most people, so that you get these things coming up and inventions and like people that actually look at things in a slightly different way from everyone else and can bring ideas and factors together in their mind and then come up with new ideas and new solutions. So that's what I think. I mean, there's that whole thing about the different blood types and the idea that scientists have traced back the female line of DNA, and they're saying that for X number of generations, there were only females in the world. So how did we get males? And it looks like some sort of laboratory tinkering. And but
You think of someone like Stephen Hawkins.
yeah,
You know, that man was so clever, and they say that in where I read in a magazine, that man was so close to producing warp drive before he sadly passed away. So
actually,
how clever was that man?
there actually is a British scientist who's been working with NASA. I can't remember his name now. I read about this in the 90s, and he was working on a warp drive, and they tested it.
Yeah.
It only achieved a very slow progress, but it actually worked. It was actually shrinking space-time at the front of it and stretching it at the back.
At the back, yeah.
And it was tested on a satellite, and it actually worked.
Yeah, I don't.
Name, but it's all gone dark now. Whenever they get a leap forward in these things, you get it in the popular magazines for a while, and then the whole thing goes dark. Probably because they've made a breakthrough.
Yeah, it's like the Philadelphia experiment where the Americans experimented with battleships through time travel. You can't tell me now that they haven't mastered time travel.
Okay. Wouldn't surprise me. It's Mandela.
No. And if they told us we could travel through time, which, if you think about it, we all travel through time anyway on the Earth. We're traveling through space, aren't we? So potentially we're traveling through time. So you can't tell me after all these experiments that they can't actually time travel. You know, that's what intrigues me. Time travel.
Yeah.
I want to learn about that because I'm sure, you know, there's things out there that do time travel, that people that come forward or go back or whatever.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know. It really intrigues me.
Well, it's very difficult for us to get a bead on reality because we're in a 12-dimensional universe and we can only perceive 4 dimensions. So like 2/3 of all the dimensionalities around us, we can't perceive because we're not evolved to perceive them.
Yeah. Well, yeah. It's mind blowing, really, isn't it, when you think about it? What's out there that we don't know about?
Yeah, it is.
You know, from big cats to big UFOs.
I mean, you've got to think. I mean, our minds are such small. Really, we can't really comprehend an infinite universe. I mean, if you think of something that just doesn't end, your brain starts to hurt, doesn't it? So that theory on the 12-dimensional universe is a really interesting one to me, and we can only perceive 4, and I would tend to agree with you hugely on that because you know, saying like Josh just said, we can't deny, and I agree with that, we can't deny that big cats exist in the UK. We can't. They are there. Well, we can't deny that there are some really weird, strange things happening around us, such as Vera's come on tonight and she said, oh, you know, it's happened in the hotel and so forth, and whatever, I mean, somebody did put on here, I'm not ignoring anyone, it's just I'm giving everybody time to chat. Somebody did ask on here, or where has it gone? Does it happen the same time in the month, etc.? You know, does it happen the same time? I think that's Scott that's asked that. Oh, it's Sarah. It's Sarah. Sarah Rapson, who's a good friend of mine, and has, you know, Sarah Paul. She that question to you, Vera, on your visitor or whatever it is. I mean, that's to you.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes, we can, love you.
It wasn't in the same months, no. These things
Okay.
are last year, around in the middle of the summer, between July, August, the first time. And then it's like, imagine, until today, it happens more 3 times. And the last one was 3 nights ago. So it's separated. It's not, it just happened just like that. You know, it's not something regular, normal.
So yeah, I mean, keep us posted, obviously, on the regularity of it, and if it increases or whatever. Paul has a very good ability to see remote view people. Yeah, like he did tonight, with the trees and so forth around you. Yeah, whereas I have the ability of seeing people around you. Not saying there's people around you now, because I do want you to sleep tonight. You know, I did it again on Friday night. We were out with Angela's sister and soon-to-be husband, and we were just in a normal pub in Portsmouth on a karaoke night, and I sung. She recorded it. If you're brave enough and you want to see it, she'll show it to you. And there was a couple came and sat next. Well, I went out for a vape, and I came back and he nicked my seat. And if you're gonna turn around, if you're gonna nick somebody's seat in the pub, don't pick someone like me to nick it from, right? Because I won't. I'm not nasty, but I will tell you you've nicked my seat. Yeah. And I told him he's nicked my seat. And in the end, I think he was a bit like, my God, I shouldn't have picked on him. And he turned around and he went, oh, do you want your seat back? And I went, no, I've got another one now. Cheers. And I had a bit of a laugh. But the woman that was with him, 40-ish, something like that, somebody started saying to me, you've got to tell her to stop it. You've got to tell her to stop. I'm like, for God's sake, I'm out having a drink. Yeah, it's karaoke. Leave me alone. No, you tell her. Then there's another bloke come in. And after about 30 minutes, I said, when the music calmed down, I said, you've got to stop hurting yourself and beating yourself up. And she looked at me and went, what? I said, you self-harm. I said, it's not good to do that. You know, you're not going to get anywhere in life. And she went, who are you? And I said, I'm just somebody sitting in a pub. I said, but how do you know that? I said, well, there's a man, and he's telling me to tell you to stop beating yourself up. I said, and move on from the blokes that are like bad in your life. I said, you're with one, you know, but you just got rid of one. And she went, how do you know that? How do you know? And she started speaking to Angela, and I said, look, I'm just a weirdo. That's all I am. I'm nothing better than a weirdo. And she started, Paul taught me how to be one. It was that bag of sweets he used to, anyway. And she said, I've got to meet you again. I've got to meet you again. Oh, my God. I don't know how we do it. I don't know how it happens. But such as with this Bigfoot thing, how the roads led me to here now and actively investigating it in the UK. As I say, 4 years ago, something came into my head that perhaps it was in the UK. Perhaps it was. And now I'm looking back at donkey's years of the possibility of me missing the fact it was in. I mean, a good one to ask on this next, really, on that recording that I just played. It gave me armache as well because I had my hands up here. I kept swapping hands like that with the phone. Vera, you're quite into Dogman, Werewolf, and so forth. I mean, what would your take be on that at the side of the road? You know, obviously the mind, if you see something, you're going to see a big cat, or maybe your mind is programmed already. If it's a cross between a dog and a human, you're going to see a dog rather than the cross between the dog and the human. Yeah, I mean, what would your take be? You've done multiple locations. You've camped out in the woods multiple amounts of times. You've researched it heavily. You've got a genuine recording. Nobody can dispute that in one bit whatsoever. You've got evidence to back that. What would your professional, because that's what you are, your opinion of that recording that I've just played you be?
Um, the thing is that this is really an old story, an old investigation. I started this in 2006. In the beginning, it was just gathering what I used to call just legends and myths, even if I already have a few paranormal experience. But I always try to put that beside, just don't speak about that and just maintain the story and the investigation sync, the scientific, let's say like that. The problem was when I start to hear about first the werewolves, yes, and when I say I start to hear about them, I'm not saying about legends and myths. It's about real people that I start to speak with. A few of them I already knew them, others I didn't. It was
I
during
find this,
a
by
few.
the way, absolutely amazing. When you were doing your talk on werewolves, I was trying to record it for Daniel, obviously, or whatever. But when you went into werewolves, I was absolutely amazed. I've just got to say that. I really were. That was brilliant.
And I've the thing is that it's like the dogman. I never heard about the dogman until this year, until my husband just like sit me and told me, Vera, you need to read something or see something about what all around the world they call it the dogman, and also about the big cats in UK, because probably it has something to do with your investigation. The thing is that what people report, it's very similar to what could be like the big cats, Uh, even
Yeah,
if I
I
have
agree.
different I have different reports because I have people that have more details, but I also have a problem. Uh, I'm talking about especially old people, always, 60 and older than that, usually around 75, 80 years. And a lot of them have those sightseeings when they were very young. The lady that I take to you to see to you to hear her in the event, to Professor Natalia, she was around 25, and until today, she and the lady that's her friend that saw that sink, they don't really know how to describe the things. They only, the person, I don't know the name of the friend that really saw it, but everyone in the village knows about that, and they didn't told me the name. That's something that it's always common, especially when they know that I already met that person, so they don't want me to try to talk with the people that testify that one. So, and and that's something that sometimes it makes me think that probably the what they say it's very different from each other, because they a few of them saw the creature just a few years ago. Others, they were just children around 8, 10 years. I have a case like that in a place named Belmont, in the center of Portugal, but still in the interior. And the lady now have 87 years. So you can imagine, between 8 years and now having 87, you
Yeah.
know, mind can, when we are, it's easier when we are young, we have a different perspective. But that one was the one in 2010 that really decided to speak with me and explain me everything. But what she remembered was like what she called an horrible being that seems like human, but gigantic. And she could not describe what kind of animal it was, because she started to say that it was like a man, but then it have parts of a wolf and a horse, and a huge mess. And I have more reports like that. But then I have normal things. When I say normal, is that when they are more simple, when we are talking just about a human body, even if it's a big one, we just wear a wolf or a dog pet. um, and so I have a lot of different things. It's not easier. It's not really easier, but I'm trying to, to gathering everything. I start to do the same in Spain, because there's a huge connection all around Iberia, and everywhere in Portugal and Spain. It doesn't matter if it's in the north or in the south. But of course, around the big cities, those kind of things starts to disappear. But of course, they maintain all the reports and all the stories in the interior, in places near the forest or the natural or national parks. In those places, it's easier to see that what we in the city, in this case I live in Lisbon, in the capital, what we name it legend or myth, we go to the interior and people can say, I saw a werewolf, it's not a legend, or I saw a fairy, or you can name it. There's a lot of things, and they are not lying. That's what I try to tell all of you in the event. They were, even if it's not our truth, they were not lying to me. It's easier. I have spoken with a lot of people, and I know when they are lying. When they are just saying just for saying. They do that in the internet. They try to do that in the groups like the ones that we are connected, just to say that we are all crazy people. And so I'm used to do that. It's like almost 20 years of investigation, and before that I have my father doing a lot of work in that area, so I have a lot of material, old material. And so it's been easier and easier to look to someone and say, and I can say, this person, it's telling the truth. So
Yeah.
she or he, they saw something, even if they don't know what it is. The thing is that even if I start with all the legends and myths, let's say, now, since 2 years ago, things were getting in just one path, let's say like that. Uh, Werewolves, what I named now the dogman, that it's something new for me, and what we call it in here in Iberia, the basahun, that's our Sasquatch, our Bigfoot.
Vera, do you think that as our cities get bigger, we encroach more on their territory? That's why we see more sightings?
Yes. I have a problem. Someone is ringing. Can you give me a few minutes, please? I
Yeah.
just need to.
That's
I will
fine.
be back because I want to tell you something. Okay, I will be back. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, again, that's just the destruction of our landscapes around the world, isn't it? You know, if you look around this world, the things we've done to it, and it's not making cars. It's not. It's the wars. It's the constant erosion of our natural places. I mean, my dad. I was born in Essex, in '73, and my dad was a chauffeur. Most of the life I knew him for. He was born 11022. It was actually my grandfather, but they brought me up. And we spent a lot of time up and down London and so forth. If he had a client going uptown, he'd say, "Oh, do you mind if I can bring my son with me? You know, he can see the sights." And I remember driving up the A127 Arterial Road, and it would be countryside, town, countryside, town, countryside, town. My dad turning around to me and saying, "You know what, son?" He says, "When I first started driving up here, you could drive sort of like 35, 40 minutes from Essex to London, and there wasn't any buildings beside the road. There was a roundabout and come off to obviously villages." He says, "But now you've got all this built up, all this built up. Well, now if you drive from Essex to London, it's virtually all built up. It's all in one." And
Well, that's how London got that size, isn't it, Darren? That's how London got that size. I mean, London, what's now London, used to be lots of villages, didn't it, at one time?
That's correct. That's correct. And it was Londinium or Londum or something, wasn't it?
Yeah, Londinium, yeah.
Yeah. And you had literally where the city was a different village to just down by the docks. But I've also found something really interesting out about London. The River Thames has been diverted so much, and all the embankment now, as we know it, is landfill. It's all landfill. The Victorians decided they wanted an embankment, and they built an embankment. They just encroached on the Thames. Well, again, water will always find its natural path, and that's a nature thing. It's taking itself back, isn't it? It's coming back. Now, when it takes itself back, I also believe that I mean, a couple of years ago, London was 15 minutes away from flooding. If the wind hadn't turned, the whole of the embankment would have gone. Around the House of Parliament would have gone. Parliament Square would have flooded. Now, I believe London is going to flood, and it's going to flood big time because it's reclaimed land, same as Portsmouth, where I am now. Reclaimed, it was marshes. The rest of Londinium was also marshland, right?
Yeah.
You'd have got wet feet walking around where Whitehall is now, Trafalgar Square. When it floods, I believe nature's going to take its own back again, and it's going to say, right, you've destroyed it, we're taking it back, and you're going to start getting these what we call cryptids come back in, because obviously they're going to be hunting the whatever. I mean, John, he's popped off. I don't know if his internet's gone down or his dog's disconnecting him again.
He's got to go to bed and take his meds, and then he might.
Oh right, okay, mate. Yeah, well, can you thank you for coming on for me then, V, please. But I mean, I don't know about everybody else, but tonight's been an absolute fantastic chat, and it really has.
You know the other thing that we don't. you know the other intriguing thing is we know so much about our planet, and yet we don't know so much about what's under the sea.
Yes,
no, that's true.
You know why? Why is that? If we can go to the moon, go to Mars, we can do all sorts of things. Why have we never really gone to the bottom of the sea?
Because of the pressure, mainly, I think.
You have submarines
Well, I
that can go
Yeah,
massively deep, don't you?
yeah, but you can't really. It's very specialized equipment that could go down that far, and the pressures are absolutely enormous. I mean, like if one of those, well, I mean, you know that stupid millionaire guy that took all those
Yeah.
people out. I mean, like a small sub with a whole bunch of people in it could be crushed down to something like a foot across. I mean, the pressure is just ridiculous down there.
But yeah,
I'd like to know how these UFOs manage it, because
well,
they're
that's the difference.
been around down there.
But we have the technology to send a spaceship to the moon, or we have a technology to keep an international space station flying. And yet
Yes.
we don't have the technology to go to the bottom of the sea.
Yeah, I think well, it's more with space. It's more a matter of just keeping a can pressurized, really. Whereas going to the bottom of the sea, it's trying to keep all that pressure out, and it's absolutely enormous. So it's much huger pressure at the bottom of the sea than lack of pressure. It's a much easier problem to solve going up into a low pressure environment than going into a high pressure one.
It makes you wonder when people see UFOs enter in the water,
Yeah.
you know, and it's been cited, isn't it? How they've disappeared into the water.
Yeah, and they come out of there as well, and in
Yeah.
great numbers. So they're obviously hanging around down there.
Yeah.
So,
They'd stay more undetected underwater than they would do in space, wouldn't they? Because we
yeah.
don't have the technology to track them underwater.
I was actually told that the largest UFO base, and this isn't just from one source, this is from my good friend who's passed, Terry Lynch. And then I asked so she's trying to put a jumper on the Teddy, on the Bigfoot. And also some people that are higher up the ladder to the top of that pyramid. As a few of us know about the pyramid thing, that the largest alien base on Earth is in Antarctica.
That wouldn't surprise me at all.
Yeah, and when you think about it, if you were going to put an alien base, if the aliens came down and said, "Look, we're coming on board," yeah, where would be the safest place to put them so they're out the farthest public eye? Antarctica, because you can't get to it, you know. And
well, it's illegal now. You can't go. You're not allowed to go there unless you're a scientist.
That's right, without permission. Yeah, so you can't get to it. It's off the. And I've also done a little bit of research on that as I have to. It's the law, and you know, a lot of these sightings are Antarctica. Isn't that amazing? So
do you not remember
I think there's just a ledge underneath there.
Do you not remember the pro TV series called The X-Files?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And do you remember what the very last episode, what they did?
Yeah, they went into that big base under Antarctica.
And where was it? It was under the Antarctic, wasn't it? Under the ice.
Well, it's the only continent that's got almost no humans living on it.
Yeah,
so it wouldn't surprise you, would it? Really?
Yeah, I mean, all it's got there are human-wise is a few scientists.
It makes you wonder why they're there, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Are they just scientists? Yeah.
Then again, you've got these stories about New Schwabenland from the Second World War, haven't you? So, I mean, I don't know what the truth is about any of that, but it's out there.
Yeah, definitely.
I met people up at Daniel's conference on the night before, because it was brilliant. Everybody all mucked in, helping set up and whatever the night before. And it became quite apparent quite quickly that we shared the same views on a lot of things. Very interesting conversations we had throughout the weekends, I would say. And I'm just looking forward to the next time. I just hope the same people get there. I know Angela's the same, and I hope you get there, Paul, this time, because as you've seen tonight, I mean, Vera, V, John, what a fan! I've just said to Angela when I muted the mic, I said, "What a fantastic chat we've had tonight! What a fantastic live!"
Very interesting. Very interesting.
I think I could start about 7 or 8 different sub channels off of this one tonight chat. One thing I will say, I don't endorse TV programs at all, especially if they're made by the BBC.
Good one.
Steve being nice, yep, spot on, mate. The British Brainwashing Corporation, as I call them. Anyway, I don't endorse any, but what I do watch is Expedition X with Jessica Jobot and Phil Torres, because a lot of the stuff on there, they debunk it. Phil Torres, complete skeptical, and Jessica Jobot, paranormal investigator, researcher. And they did that mining town the guys bought in America. But they've also done a lot on the Bigfoot and Dogman in the latest episode. I don't know if you've seen it, Vera. Expedition X, the latest series. They've done, yeah. You saw that
I think
one, did
so.
you? Yeah,
Yes.
where they basically been out and they hadn't really caught much. They've seen some footprints in the snow, and they just ended. They're like, how the hell did that happen? Oh, well, we're never going to know. So they got back into the car, and there were 2 carloads heading back. And in the middle of nowhere, in the pitch black, was this man or thing walking down the side of the road. And they'd previously been told by a local, don't pick up hitchhikers, and always look at their feet, because these shape-shifting dogmen, whatever they are, can change their whole appearance apart from their feet and their legs. Yeah, that one. And they saw it as they were driving back, and they spun round, went back, nothing there. Snow either side, and no footprints in the snow. No helicopters had landed and taken off. No, it just gone. So I found that quite interesting.
When they replayed it, they looked at the legs, and they looked quite very hairy.
Yeah, when they replayed it, they were really hairy legs, really hairy.
Yes.
I mean, it shook me because they were hairier than my girlfriend's legs, and they were really hairy. But but no.
But you think about the Native Americans would always call them skinwalkers, the Native Americans, because they were shapeshifters.
Yeah.
So it's not a new thing to be had, is it? It's Native Americans have seen shapeshifters or skinwalkers, whatever you want to call them. So it's not really a new thing. It's just we're more aware of it now.
We've got the same phenomena, really, especially if you look at the Nordic history of warriors who would morph into wolves and things. I was going to mention earlier, actually, when we were talking about encroaching on the countryside and that stirring things up so that they come into towns and things. We've actually got one in the UK called Old Stinker, which is quite well known further north. And this is a sort of a werewolfy thing that stinks, got a really terrible smell to it, but it's all known all around Sheffield and up around that sort of area. Over 100-mile range, this thing, and it's been going on for decades. So I was wondering if any of you have ever heard of that.
No, I've not heard that one. No.
I'm sure John could enlighten us, but he's here right now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Or Richard.
definitely. John's
Richard
such
is,
an, I mean, John is such an interesting guy, and his knowledge base on historic things to do with paranormal, cryptids, shape, anything like that. I mean, when he turned round, and I haven't really thought before, and said how large this sort of carnivorous is the otter. And I'm sitting
yes,
here, I don't know if anybody else did the same as I did, but I paused and I went, an otter, it's only that sort of size. And no, surely we've got something
but
bigger in the UK that's carnivorous and it's a predator. And apart from the otter and us, I can't think of anything else.
in Ireland, they've got a thing which I can't even remember the name now. If we had Ronan on or John, they would be able to tell you this straight away. I can't remember the name of it, but there's supposed to be a giant otter in Ireland that occasionally kills people by the lakes. And there's a couple of famous cases. There was one where there's one particular island. I can't even remember the name of that island. Again, John's man. And a woman went down to the lake. There were only a few people living on this Irish island, and the woman went down to the lake, and then she gets attacked, and the husband comes down later. He's wondering where she is, and he finds what's left of her on the beach. This is quite a famous one as well. If you had Ronan Coughlin on, he would be a fantastic guest to talk about.
No, we haven't.
You should try and get him.
Well,
He's in
if
the
you
CFC.
know it, yeah.
Yeah. Ronan
Okay,
knows
well,
loads of stuff.
Well, if you can have a word with him, because I mean, basically, we started this in January, Vega, and myself, I said to Paul one day or one evening at an investigation, I'm thinking about doing a podcast. What do you think? And he said, yeah, I'll support you. I'll do it with you. And I said, all right. I said, how about on Monday we start off 7:30? We'll just go live on Facebook and we'll throw a load of rubbish around and see what it comes up with. And Luke came on and Dora came on, and we had a bit of a laugh, and Julia came on, and a few people watched us, and to our surprise, about 4 or 5 comments underneath. Oh, what do you think? Blah, blah, blah. I said, oh, shall we do it next week? Yeah, what the hell? And during the weeks of absence from the weekly shows, Paul and myself are like, wouldn't it be great to sort of talk about this? Wouldn't it be great to talk about UFOs? Wouldn't it be great to have speakers come on and listen to their stories? And we were virtually begging out, mate, weren't we, for other people to come on and tell us their stuff.
Yeah.
And I mean, I've been on here now 2.5 hours. We're coming up to 2 hours on live, and the reason I'm still on here now is because if I hit that in button, I feel like I'm missing out. Does that make sense? I'm like, this is what I want for my life's hobby. I want it now. I want to know all your knowledge, and when you or John or Vera or whatever are on and talking and backing up things, and it's just, I don't know about you, Paul, but it blows my mind, mate. What about you? I mean,
yeah, it's interesting, isn't it, to hear other people. And this is what we've always said in the beginning, wasn't it? Have guest speakers on here just to talk, because the paranormal is a very small part of the supernatural. And to get people talking on here about paranormal equipment, haunted dolls, their experiences, Bigfoot, cryptids like we've got now, is amazing that we've come this far and got this amount of interest from people, and it is interesting having different people's opinions and different people talking about their specialities or their passion for the hobbies, and it's interesting. Yeah.
Paul, it's just absolutely amazing, mate. I mean, it was lovely down at the convention, or whatever you want to call it, because everybody it was the first time we'd all met, and we all just like got on like we do. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but I don't know, V, if you could have a talk to that guy you just mentioned and
Ronan,
ask if he wants to be a speaker, mate. I mean, would he do that sort of thing?
I'm sure he would. I'm sure he would if we asked him. Yeah, he's a fantastic speaker. He's John said to me one time, "Do you know? I'm sure he's a leprechaun because he's so charming." He's only a wee fella, and he's very charming, and he's got this really impish sense of humour. Do you know Father Ted?
Yeah.
Well,
Yes.
we used to. We still have this thing run by Glenn up in the North Country called Weird Weekend North, but the precursor to that was Weird Weekend down in Devon, and there were a number of sort of comedic homages to Father Ted. It was part of the thing that was for the children because it was a family thing, and obviously you can't have the children in the main hall while people are talking about Ouija boards and hauntings and stuff because they'll have nightmares. So you'd have things laid on out in the garden area for the children, and one of the things was the Tunnel of Goats, which came from a Father Ted episode, as well as the Spider Baby. And people say, well, what makes it like a spider? And the plain truth is it's a pram with a rubber spider in it, but we called it the Spider Baby. Anyway, Ronan got Richard Freeman to crawl through the Tunnel of Goats, which is this sort of tubular thing. And he waited until he got right in the middle. This is in the middle of a talk at Weird Weekend with a big audience there. And then he got out of his chair and walked across and sat on Richard in the Tunnel of Goats so he couldn't move while Richard was talking to the audience. That's the sort of sense of humor the guy's got. He's amazing. And he knows so much about British cryptids and particularly Irish ones and Irish legends and stuff. He could keep you amused for hours, Ronan Coughlin. He's an amazing guy.
Well, ask him for us, mate. If he wants like an hour spot, 30 minutes or whatever, he's more than welcome to it here. We will gladly sit back and listen to him. But warn him, we will get questions from us afterwards.
Oh, he's brilliant. He's brilliant with that as well. Yeah.
Interesting. Very interesting.
Once you see Ronan speak, you'll love him. That's it. You know, I've never met anyone. Sorry.
Does he actually live in Ireland or?
Yes. I think he's retired now, but he was a teacher. I've never met anyone.
Southern Ireland, beautiful.
Yeah. Never met anyone that's known him or listened to him speak that didn't like him. Not one. Lovely guy.
I moved over to Ireland I was there for 6 months in '98, I think it was, and I was living in Aberdeen at the time. And I had to take a team over. We went from Stranraer to Belfast. Stopped the night in Belfast, went out for the night, and then drove down to Dublin, where the office was the next day. And we went into a garage. I said, I'll go into a garage and ask where this estate is we're going to. Anyway, she went, I'm not sure where that is. She went, that man might know. About 5 people got involved in this directional thing in the garage. It was and not one of them could agree. I went, that's all right. So this bloke came out. He said, just turn left, follow the road down, you'll find it. Anyway, as I got out, I said to this woman beside me, I said, roll the window down. I said, there's a couple of blokes here. They'll know where it is, young lads. So in their 20s, roll the window down. And he said, I loved Ireland, I really did. And I said, he says, yeah, go down here, turn left. And the other ones turned around. He says, what are you telling him lies for? He says, you don't do that. He says, you turn around here, that's quick. And he went, no. And they both started arguing in the middle of the street about 8 o'clock at night. and they're actually pushing each other and slapping each other. And we've looked at each other, I've rolled the window off, and we just turn it off. And but it got better. You had to look for this roundabout called the Red Cow Roundabout. Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's quite a famous landmark, apparently. My God, it's a famous landmark, right? Or it was. They built a new motorway, okay, and the planned route was where an old pub was called the Red Cow Pub. And there was a lot of local opposition to them destroying this pub because a lot of people went to it and it was heritage. So instead of knock it down, they actually built a roundabout around the pub with traffic lights and whatever. But this roundabout happened to be in the middle of the motorway. And not only that, but either side of the Red Cow Pub, there was literally acres and acres of ground which they could have just gone around it. But for some reason, we found it eventually, and I think I had probably a best part of 6 months there. It was really, really good. I love Ireland. Beautiful country. Did a lot of touring there, not as much as I could have, and I want to. But just it was. I mean, that's when it was Punts V, yeah. Before it went to the Eurozone and whatever. And I remember everybody was quite happy to take my money, pound sterling, like packet of cigarettes, like 160 or something. And I said, "Can I pay by sterling?" "Yeah, no problem." They give me my change in punts. Until I went to the Bank of Ireland and I realised you got 120 punts for £100. So, and they say the Irish were stupid. They weren't stupid. But no, if you can ask him for us, mate. I mean, if you know him,
I will. Yeah.
That'd be great, V. Thanks ever so much, mate. What I'm going to do is I'm going to end the live now. We've been on over 2 hours. Has anybody else got anything they want to add to the live before I end it? Or I mean, Luke, have you got anything you want to say at all?
We went to the investigation on Saturday, didn't we, in the boat? Or was it Shield Hall?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Did you get much there that night? The other night?
Felt like it was, in the sea. I felt like I was drawn to the sea for some reason. Around the corner, some of the docks further down. Don't know what was down there.
Well, I mean,
Water
we did
by the sound of it.
Saturday night. We did SS Shield Hall, which is not an old boat, but it's powered by 2 steam engines, run off oil. Really interesting engineering work, because that's my other hobby. Anything with a motor in it, I'll have it. And really interesting because they're stripping the engines down at the moment, rebuilding them for winter maintenance. And we did get a lot of sounds in that engine room, a lot of anomalies, lights, and so forth. But where it is, it's Southampton Dock, so you actually drive into the docks, you go through the barrier security, and round you park up. And of course, it's a huge U inlet where the cruise ships go. So my feeling was, there's stuff in the water, but my feeling, if you're drawn to the water, would be that there is possibly in there, I mean, there's over 100 bodies found in the Thames every year. I don't know if anybody's aware of that. But, they dredge the Thames regular. Did you know that, Paul?
I've heard of it many years ago, but I never really thought much of it, to be honest.
Yeah. So if, you've got out of Southampton and Portsmouth, you've got the Isle of Wight and the Solent, which just is a current going around it all the time. And parts of the Solent are only 5 foot deep, especially around the Needles. So the boats have to be very careful navigating around the Solent. The deepest part is about 120-foot sinkhole where they fish and whatever. But, if you get something in the Solent, it's going to be sucked straight back in. So if Luke's getting the feeling like I did as well, who's to say there isn't a number of bodies under there?
Yeah, but it
You know?
would be, you would have burials at sea.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, yeah, you would.
So you always,
Yeah, you would.
so it's not
Yeah.
to say that they're not washed in over the period of years. You know, in the battles, you know, with Nelson and all of that, they would bury their dead at sea. So,
Yeah.
you know,
that's
it
true.
could be that there's
That's
a burial or a sunken ship there or something. There would have been a battle somewhere along that coast. And the chances are they would have buried their dead at sea.
Apart from that,
Do
I mean,
you-
it wasn't. Yep. Go
Sorry,
on, V.
it's a slight diversion, but you mentioned the Isle of Wight, and I was wondering if you knew this. That the Isle of Wight was named the Isle of Wight because white is the word in the Old English, ancient English, for spirit or ghost, and our ancestors on the mainland thought that that island was where their loved ones went when they died. That was where
Wow.
the spirits dwelled, so they called it the Isle of Wight.
Didn't know that.
Wow.
Yeah,
Oh, wow.
that's part of the old pagan law.
Well, do you know what? The Isle of Wight is really, really, really special to me. And ever since I met Angela, the kids 11 years ago, I think it's just as special to them. And I must admit, I am actually guilty of pushing the children to make it a special place like it is mine now. When I was a kid in Essex, every year we'd have a week over on the Isle of Wight. You know, you'd have your sand castles and whatever. Hopefully the sun was out. And Dad would drive us down to Southampton. We'd get on the old red funnel ferries. We'd go past the Kirry 2 and the Canberra. And, oh, yeah, we're nearly there, Dad. Look, how long till we get there, yeah? And when
Yeah,
we got off,
are
it was
we
like
there
the abroad
yet?
anyway.
Yeah.
You remember, you were there as well, V, yeah?
Well, that's
wasn't
what
it
that's what the kids always say, isn't it? Are we there yet?
Oh, it was such a special island. And the first place we would go every single year was the Waxworks Museum at Brading. And I mean, it's been, I don't know why, it's still just a pile of rubble. It was privately owned. Then I think it was taken over by a corporation and just grounded. But I don't care what anybody says. There isn't much history online, and the only history you can find online about it now says it's a synthetic, made-up one. But I can assure you that in there they had obviously the like the boy up the chimney and whatever, and the haunted penny farthing. He'd be peddling away in the dark, and all the sounds. And hi, Amanda. Great to see you. Thanks for joining us. We're getting towards the end of it now, but we do this every Monday evening, unfortunately, for people that have to watch us. But thanks for joining us. It will be recorded. I can assure you that. And if you wish to look back, comment, come on next week. If you want to join us live, like everybody else is on here, please feel free. We're a friendly bunch of guys here. We've got V there. We've got Vera, who's in Portugal. Paul, who's up in Crawley. Luke, who's not really sure. Luke's in France. And me, I'm in Portsmouth. So thanks for joining us. And Angela. Yeah, I forgot about. I have this habit.
Poor old
Anyway.
Andrew in the background again. Me and Jen stayed in a nice place on the Isle of Wight, Apple Durkham House.
Yeah.
That beautiful.
Isle of Wight is just if anybody's watching this and not been to the Isle of Wight, go to the bloody Isle of Wight, will you? Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, brilliant stuff. You'll see I've got one lined up for next week as well. I've just got to change the stream settings. It will appear on Facebook as well. So and thanks for going on to StreamYard and getting your name verified so it appears on screen, because you'll see there's a lot of comments that come up, and it just says, "Evening, Facebook user." Yeah, okay, Facebook user. Who are you? Yeah. So thanks ever so much. We also have a hell of a sense of humour on here, so you have to put up with jokes, especially Paul when he tells a joke you can't tell. But
Well, I was trying to get a word in past Luke, innit? Really, it's the difficult bit.
well, yeah. Luke's very
You know.
noisy tonight. Yeah,
He is, isn't he?
Yeah.
It's when he's been eating beans.
Yeah,
But
that's when we know he's around.
no, the Isle of Wight go, and I don't care what anybody says. When I was a child going to the Isle of Wight, they did have a Yeti skin. No, that's Isle of Wight is not Manx cat country. That's the Isle of Man. If V can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it's the Isle of Man, V, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's also the Jeff the Mongoose country in the Isle of Man, isn't it?
The mongoose.
Yeah, have you not heard of Jeff the Mongoose?
No.
There's a new Simon Pegg movie out. It's not actually telling the story, but it's telling the story of a guy who went there to called Nandor, who went there to investigate this story. There were questions asked in Parliament about it. There was a family on the Isle of Man. Yeah, there was a family on the Isle of Man. They lived alone in this house, miles from almost anywhere, and they claimed that there was a talking mongoose that lived in the walls and could do all sorts of things. And people say, well, why would you have a mongoose in a house on the Isle of Man? The thing is, mongooses were imported and let go on the island quite some time earlier. I think it was to take care. Yeah, I think it was to take care of rats, and they're still there now. In fact, they've even got wallabies there.
Right.
And
they've got wallabies down in Dover as well, though, haven't they? There's a few.
Yeah.
I've never been. This is not my comment, so I have no idea if it's overpriced or not. But what I mean, thanks for being honest. That's all I can say. We're a group of honest guys here. You know, if you want to come, and I don't know what part of the country you're in, or whereabouts in the world you could be, Amanda, but you know, one thing we do strive on here is honesty. But so they've still got the mongooses on the Isle of Man. That's why don't we hear about these things, Faye?
I don't know. Well, I mean, it's in that movie, that Simon Pegg movie that's just come out. Nandor, Fodor, and the Talking Mongoose, I think it's called. It's not historically accurate. I mean, they've introduced a black farm worker to be what's the word? To be woke. They've done various other things, changing the actual story. But I mean, I love Simon Pegg movies anyway. I collect them because I love him, especially when he's with Nick Frost. But so I would love the film anyway. But I mean, a few of my friends, and unfortunately, they don't like it.
I quite like this comment. Can't afford to be alcoholic.
Good one.
You'll fit in here. Anyway, I do like that. I do like that.
That's a good comment.
I'm glad I've never been. Mind you, Portsmouth not far behind. And London, Jesus Christ, 1 point. That's me.
Oh yeah, I can't go to London now. I just get so triggered in London. It's just hectic, isn't it? Everywhere it's hectic.
Well, everywhere you go, they've got guns and they're watching you, mate. So
yeah.
So,
That and knives It's just everywhere. Just, hey.
Have you seen that new? I know this is going off topic, but new. What is it they call these things? Structures. You know, it's sculpture they've got in Bolton. It's called the Knife Angel, and I was watching a guy on YouTube the other day, Charlie Veach, and he went to Bolton. I think it was Bolton, and they've got this thing. It's an angel. They've put it up and whatever, and he went, "Oh, look at that! That's great for Christmas." He got closer, and it absolutely looks petrifying. Oh right, but red car. Oh, Saltburn, yeah, Plymouth. No, we're Portsmouth. We're further down the coast. About 3 hours. 3 hours by drive. Plymouth is the place where you got the big old bridge, isn't it? You got the bridge, and they charge you, and it's too late because you owe the other side, so they steal your 40p. It's terrible. It really is. And that's probably owned by somebody in Spain or something that's like, you know, because it's just a good old UK rip-off, isn't it?
And that when Francis Drake sailed from Plymouth.
What?
I think it was Francis Drake. Didn't he sail from Plymouth?
I never knew him personally, mate, but I'm not as old as you.
Didn't you? It was about your era. I'll tell you what happened here yesterday. We were sitting in the lounge and the back door was shut. So we're sitting here chatting, and then we heard like a little noise, and I looked over, the back door opened on its own after it was shut. Then the curtain moved, and I said, "If you're coming in, shut that bloody door." And bang, the door shut.
Really?
Yeah. We was all sitting there looking at it. It was like the curtain moved, like something opened the door, moved the curtain, and I said, "Shut that bloody door," and it went bang, and then the curtain dropped back. You have to come here, Darren, one day, and feel the portal in here. Feel this portal in here, people coming in and out.
Definitely.
Have you got? Is it like a little cold spot?
No, we live in a bungalow in cul-de-sac.
Yeah.
And we've I caught a spirit or a ghost on camera here one night about 3 o'clock. But the intriguing bit about the video is that it shows I put a camera up one night because we sensed the activity was happening here.
Yeah.
So I put a track camera up I'd bought, and it caught something. So the first part of the video, it's online. It was on the TV as well. Was at 7 minutes past 3 in the morning.
Yeah.
And yet the second part of the video, where the camera stopped and zoomed in, was at 3:06. So it actually changed time. Really intriguing video of the only one ever seen of a spirit appearing, looking round the door and then disappearing into an orb and go. It's unseen footage before. It's very interesting that the time changed.
Have you had any apportments there, Paul?
Have any what? Sorry, mate.
Any apportments where things sort of fall out of the air and you hear something hit the floor, and usually it'll be hot when you pick it up.
No, we've had nothing like what we had was in the hot summer. We heard a noise in the kitchen. We went out to the kitchen and had a look and found the lemonade bottle spinning on the floor on the opposite side of the kitchen.
Wow.
And then we were asleep one night. Was it 2 o'clock, Jen?
Yeah.
About 2 o'clock in the morning. We're fast asleep. Heard this crash, bang, wallop, smash. But what the? Got up and the clock had come off the wall at 2:10, but the fixing was still in the wall, but the clock was smashed onto the floor.
So
we do
pull down then.
Yeah, we do often get things here. Darren tell you, we often report things going on. We smell smoke, perfume, all sorts of things here. And even the neighbours, we've done a few investigations on the neighbours because we're like 4 bungalows in a row. and picked up all sorts of things in their bungalows and all sorts of
The door knocking.
the door knock. Got an interesting video. I'll send it to Darren. Maybe you could put it on here of a ring doorbell. You know the ring doorbells that activate.
Yeah.
One of our neighbours said, "You've got to look at this." Because she was at a football match. She said someone's banging at the door. So she sent me the video, and the video is activated, but there's no one at the door, and then there's a bang on the door, bang, 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 but there's nobody there, and she doesn't have a door knocker.
Wow.
I'll send it to Darren. Maybe you can send it to you, V, and have a look at it. It's really intriguing.
I'd love to see the spirit one as well.
Yeah, I could probably send that to Darren, and or send it to you, whatever, and have a look.
Yeah, send it.
Yeah.
If you send it to me, I can actually feature it on here one week. Because
Okay.
I've got one here, which I can do presenting on.
Yeah.
I'll figure it out.
Yeah.
I'll send it to you as
Okay.
well, and I can present it on here as well. Because I've seen the one where it goes past the door. That's quite an interesting one in itself. That's been on American TV, that one. It's on YouTube as well. You know, but it's like these mongooses on the Isle of Man. Why don't we hear about them? Yeah, I can assure you that in the Waxwork Museum at Brading, there was a real Yeti skin. It was the abominable snowman. That's what it was. My dad used to take me in there and he said, "There you are. That's what they really found in like North Pole or something. They've really found this, yeah." And it was a skin of an abominable snowman, which is basically Yeti, Swashback, or Bigfoot. But now it's been deleted from history. Why? You've got to ask yourself questions like that. Why? Same with these big cats, like John said, we've got unfounded evidence, that overwhelming evidence that they exist in the UK. They are in the wild. We've got photographs, we've got stores or whatever, yeah. You know, here's an interesting one from Amanda. Yeah. Well, thanks for sharing that, Amanda. That's I'm sorry that happened to you, but I'm glad it's sorted now. But
Sage smudging could be quite good, can't they?
Well, you know, that last bit, how can you rationalise it with people without sounding nuts? And I think that's why I was going to say to Vera when she was saying about it's the older people saying things to her now about the werewolves and so forth and experiencing sightings. I think we've got the same thing here. You can't rationalise with people. You can't. You do sound absolutely cream crackers.
Yeah, I think it might have something to do with as you get older, you tend not to give a shit what the world thinks anymore.
Yeah,
There's so
I
much
think you're right,
going on around you that you think,
You're
well,
right.
if you think I'm a nutter, that's fine, but I know what I
you're
saw.
right. I mean, yeah.
And young people tend to be more sort of, oh, I'm going to be rejected from this thing if I don't sort of blend in.
You've got to be one. You've got to be a sheep, basically. Yeah.
Yeah.
You've got to follow the pack, and if you, I think also it's fear with people, because if you mention something like that to them, then perhaps they've had something happen to them in their home, and it brings it all back to a head. And if they start talking to you about it and they say, well, they admit it, then they're going to have to talk about it. And maybe these things are scary as well.
Yeah.
This sounds like a bad case. Sorry that. I mean, with I don't know if we're a dog lover, but we've got a big thing lying down beside us called Molly Dog. I
like Paul's little fluffy white one. That's so cute.
Mhm. Hey, Poppy.
Yeah.
Here she is. Here's Poppy.
Aw.
Say hello, Pop. Small foot. She's a small foot. We call her our small foot.
She's so
We
cute.
haven't found a big foot yet. There she is. Say hello, Pops. Say hello. Hello, everybody. Hello.
Well, you know, if you do want to talk about your experience, Amanda, I mean, maybe you don't, maybe you do. Next week's show, if you do want to join us live on here, please just give me a message or just comment, and I'll send you the link sort of like 10 minutes before we go live, and you can join us on here, and you can explain yourself what happened, and I mean, it's down to you, but everybody on here, you see what we're like, and hopefully this is what we're like in real life as well. We're like a little family, and we love to hear these stories. We love to hear these stories, and that's what this channel's all about, guys, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Wow.
Is that a picture frame or a mirror frame, Amanda?
Paul, I was just going to ask that same question. And that weird,
Well,
eh?
if it was a mirror, it might have been used for scrying at one
Exactly.
time. That can
Yes.
attach things.
Mirrors are a
Yes.
portal, aren't they?
Yeah.
That's why you never have two mirrors opposite each other,
Yes.
because of that reason. That you're opening a portal that's endless. Because if you have two mirrors
Yeah.
opposite each other, it's endless, isn't it?
But there's also something that's been long overlooked, and I've thought of the last couple of years. You were talking about mirrors, but what does glass do as well?
Stores energy, doesn't it?
It reflects
Yeah.
light. A lower frequency of light, I admit, but it's still reflecting. Yeah. So if you've got two pictures facing each other, you've got that low frequency light facing each other. So it's not just mirror frames. But I were going to ask that same question. Was it a mirror frame? Yeah.
You're a spooky man, Darren. You are.
Well,
Yeah. What did I say?
There you go. It was a picture frame.
And before it was described as a mirror. Yeah.
Glass charges. Because what I believe time has been stationary, and the only thing that moves in time is the way we measure it. Therefore, it's the same time now as it was when then, so forth. Yeah. And that energy is still there, like the portals, so forth. Yeah, that energy is still there. And there's a good one in Woodchester Mansion, actually. A picture of a mirror, and it's standing on the floor, and it's probably about 3.5 foot in height. And as you walk past that mirror, if you're sensitive in any way whatsoever, you'll know what it's got in it. You'll know what sort of things in it. It's horrible. So a lot of people jump when they get to it. It's, they're really sensitive. And I think that's the first place I've really started learning about the mirrors theory of Paranormal at Woodchester Mansion after I visited that about 10 years ago, the first time. Because there's really so much linking the Bigfoot, the UFOs, and the ghosts and the spirits. I believe ghosts and spirits are two different things. I think a lot of ghosts are just regular spirits and the intelligent. That's just the glass in frame smashed on its own. If you want to share that footage, I would love to see it. If you want me to keep it private, send it to me on a message. Darren Graham. You'll see me commenting on South Coast Ghosts. It's a black round picture, just send me a message. If you want to come on and explain it, if you want it shared on the group, I'm more than happy. It's your decision, Amanda. Yeah, but thank you for sharing that with us. That's, I mean, that's demonic. You can't get away from that. That's, I mean, what would you say on that, Paul?
Definitely. What you got to also remember is the mirrors record time, like, you know, and they can play back at any time. But they're
Everything's
always
stored
well
in it.
known as a portal, don't they? You know,
Yeah.
mirrors have always been a portal for the unknown. Hence why when your mirror's scrying, you know, you don't actually know what is actually going to come through on that mirror. And I mean, when they did
No,
mirror scrying with Paranation at the Lamb, you know, what we saw come through on that mirror that night was just
That
another
scared
level.
you.
That
That
was
scared you.
just scary. You know, for me, I don't get scared. You
I've
know,
never seen
I'm
you
quite.
scared.
Eh?
Never seen you scared, mate. But you were
No.
bloody scared that night, mate.
That
You were
night we
scared.
sat in that room and saw that mirror scry. What happened in that mirror was just took it to another level. Absolute another level. It's unreal.
Unbelievable.
Unreal. You know, and I've seen a
then
lot
you
of mirror
saw that
scrying
man
done, but
in the other room.
when we were in that room and that man appeared in the room, you know, Jen thought it was me standing up, and when she realised it wasn't, then all hell broke loose in the room because it was a shape of a man standing in the room, the mirror.
I
It
wonder if
looked
it's
like
the same. Wonder if it's the same.
a grey or a blue. No, it looked like it had a grey outfit.
Looked like it had a grey outfit, Jen saying, when it was standing there. And that came from the bathroom that I was sitting in a split second because I went to get up when I heard the commotion and I felt a hands on my shoulder holding me to the floor. And I thought, oh, bugger this, I'm out. And then all hell broke loose, you know. And after that, we sort of it all calmed down after everybody had seen this man standing in the room. And then we did the mirror scrying, and the face that came through in the mirror was unreal. Honestly, absolutely. It was just, you know, you asked it to look, to do something, and for somebody's face to look in a mirror and stay there, but the whole of the eyes and the face turned and looked around everybody in the room was the most creepiest thing that I'd ever seen.
Especially seeing as you're not into mirror scrying in the first place.
No.
You and I both are not into mirror scrying.
No. I'm intrigued by it, but that night what we saw in that mirror was just another level. Absolute another level.
I think that night did take us to the next step.
I think he did, yeah.
Because,
you know, Jen often said, oh, every time I go, we don't seem to get anything happen. But that night, it all kicked off upstairs. It was just incredible. I was so glad it happened.
Yeah. It wasn't wearing a suit jacket, was it, in that room? The grey outfit.
Remember, Jen? No.
No, because I thought it was Paul in his hoodie.
She thought it was me standing up in the bathroom in a hoodie.
The hair was like bald type thing.
What are you trying to say?
Have you
She
got
said
a
it was like
that
had a
man
hood.
at the bottom of the stairs that was wearing a suit jacket.
Yes, that's right. You did, didn't you?
And I saw him as clear as I see you now. I swear
That was an
down.
amazing night, wasn't it? Amazing night.
But it started off downstairs in the lounge area.
Yeah.
Where Gemma was upstairs with a group with Cheryl. I was downstairs with Dora, Angela, and another couple. And we asked it to make a sound, and it banged on the beam. And then we thought, after a while, we thought it was them upstairs. And Gemma shouted down, was that you? And I went, yes. And she went, oh, right. And she went, it's them down. I said, can you do that again? And I think she shouted, yeah, we can. And we went, it's them upstairs. And then they came down, went, so you made the 3 bangs, did you, on the beam? She went, no, that was you. Went, no, you didn't she? No, you made the 3 bangs on the beam, Gemma. She went, no, none of us. We were just sitting there listening to you making it. And I'm like, Oh, okay then. We didn't make it. You didn't make it. We both heard it upstairs, downstairs. Yeah. This is a good one. Sleep paralysis. Yeah. Yeah. Depends on the color of the orbs.
Sleep paralysis is a very interesting subject.
Can I
It is.
can I ask how we share the URL for this? Because my friend Katie is just contacting me on the phone through Messenger, and she wants to watch the show, but I've only got the guest link.
Right, hang about, mate. Hang about.
Well, she goes on to
let
South
me have-
Coast Ghost. The link will be there, won't it?
Yeah.
I told her
yeah.
to go to South Coast Ghosts.
We
But
normally
she's-
share it between South Coast Ghosts, Host for Ghosts. We normally share the links, don't we? So everybody knows.
Yeah. Yeah.
I told her
here we are.
I told her to go to South Coast Ghosts, but she said can't find it. Damn. Send me a link, please. I can't find it.
Should be that way.
Yeah. That'll be one to do for next week.
Tell you what, Katie would be a good guest as well, because she's the foremost, well, I think in the world, actually, in the English-speaking world anyway, she's the foremost
Well, let's get her on.
Aquatic cryptid person in the English-speaking world. She does Lake Champlain, and she's the one that got the sonar images of the thing that looks like a plesiosaur swimming. She's brilliant, is our Katie.
That'd be interesting for next week, wouldn't it? Try and send her the link then.
Yeah, well,
and
let's get her
see
on the
if you
show because
come and chat to us.
you know that.
Yeah.
It's a shame she can't. She can't
You know
find us.
what I will do. Well, I'm going to send you the link now, V.
Cool. On Messenger.
This is
Well done.
Yeah, send it to you now, mate.
Thank you.
Yeah,
I
really
really appreciate
group
that.
link. If she goes onto that group, if she goes onto that group, she'll be able to get onto my group, and it's being streamed live at the moment on my group. It's also on YouTube as well. If I open YouTube, it might slow me down.
Don't worry.
I'm not going to open
Don't
YouTube
worry.
at the moment.
Yeah, don't worry about that. I just sent it to her in Messenger.
But she should be able to find that. I've just gone onto the group, and it's right at the top of the live stream. We've there's 21 people being reached on the Facebook channel tonight alone, so that's pretty good. I'm happy with that, because that's what this is all about. This is all about reaching and connecting people, so they can, if they wish, join in. Amanda Norton there, fantastic, smashing. Unfortunately, I don't always. I'm not saying that because you've gone through it personally, but smashing. You shared the story with us, Amanda. Thank you so much.
Yes.
That is it's on a disc. That would be very interesting if you're happy to do that. And if you do want to come on next week, the week after, watch us a few weeks and build your courage up. A lot of people do. And then, if you feel comfortable with us, which I hope you do, come on.
There's a reason beyond sleep paralysis. I've studied this.
Yeah, I've had that once or twice, and it is absolutely terrifying.
Have you got any protection, Amanda? Have you protection? I've got this, yeah. It's a piece of green jade. I'm when I got told to wear protection, I've been thank you so much. But this is a very important thing. When I got told, I'm not scared of anything. I was told by my father if I ever see anything uglier than myself, to run. Until that point, don't bother. And I got told by a very, very good medium, John. He's up north, still in contact with him. I'll have to invite him on here. Why don't you wear protection? Why are you going out exposing yourself to the elements and you have no protection? I said, well, don't bloody need it. I'm stronger than them. He says, don't be stupid. He says, get yourself some protection. He said, green jade, black tourmaline, so forth. This is green jade. I swear by it. I never take this off, ever, unless I'm going to a swimming pool. Now, the importance of keeping it on is it absorbs. Green jade is a soft crystal. It absorbs things around it. It converts negative into positive, and it keeps you safe. I believe in it now. I'm a great believer. Back then, I've just poo-pooed it, and I went on the internet and I started looking. I thought, oh, that looks nice. Now, since then, I've done a lot of research, and I found that that's nice bit is the most important thing to start off with. You must have a piece that you are attracted to. I mean, this here, it may not be your cup of tea, but it's mine. Yeah, I like that design. Now, what you want that, by the way, I don't know if I can. That's my vape. It's quite a big piece of green jade. That was only £6.
It's a big vape.
Yeah, it's only £6. That's a little Bluetooth speaker. Yeah. So relevance to my head. Yeah. But I would suggest, I'm a great believer in it now. Everybody, yourself and everybody that's watching or on here, if you're going to go into the woods or you're going to go into a house where it's haunted, don't listen to how strong you think you actually are. Go and get a piece of green jade. Go onto eBay, search green jade, buy it from China, and keep looking and looking and looking until you find a part that you're actually attracted to. Doesn't matter what it is. You can get little Buddhas, you can get little rings, get white and green jade. I've got some green jade here.
That one you've got.
This one here, I got.
Yeah,
that's what I've got there.
That's also shaped as a hagstone, which is an old witch protection as well. So it's
perhaps that's why I was drawn to it even more. But if you get it from eBay from China, you know it's going to be pure green jade. If you buy it in the UK, it's probably not. So unless you paid like 20, 30, 40 quid for it, yeah. So I would say everybody go out, get themselves a bit of green jade. Never take it off, ever. Always keep it on. Keep it on you. Sleep with it on you. Shower with it on you. Eat with it on you. Watch TV with it on you. And that will get to be part of you. Believe me, it'll come a lot stronger if it's part of you. It's like tarot cards. Tarot card readers sleep with them under their pillow. Yeah. Yeah, that's pyramided green jade. That's absolutely fine, but you need something of your own to put around your neck, and if that's not strong enough, then I would suggest you go and get a piece of black tourmaline and wear that as well, and that will ward off any bad energy. It will soak it up and it will spit it out the other end before it even gets into you, because we don't realize when we are actually getting attacked by this negative energy half the time. It makes us moody, it makes us grouchy, argumentative, and we start looking at everything negative around us. Before we know it, we've had it a few years and it starts playing hell at home, breaking mirrors, scratching us, so forth. My way is to defeat it before it even attaches itself to me. I get lots of things that do attach to me these days, strangely enough. Maybe where I've gone into some stupid place and, I just say to it, if you can hit me, go on, do it. But it takes me probably about 24, 36 hours to figure it out. Not a problem, love. Honestly, that is why we are here. We're not after your money on here. We're only after giving advice. I've been doing this for over 40 years. Paul's been doing it donkey's years. V, the same. He's been into each and everything. Luke's number of years, about 8 years now. And I won't talk about anything I don't know about 100%. If I talk about something, I've done a lot of research and I've experienced it myself. So thank you for listening to us rabbiting on. But I now
I've studied sleep paralysis.
Have you?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's probably an area you can specialise in then, Paul. It's fascinating and it's terrible for the people that have it.
I had a case once of someone, a young lady had an autistic son, and he was always speaking to someone, but she was always going on about how something pressed her onto the bed and wouldn't let her talk, and she's panic and like you do when you get sleep paralysis. And then I studied sleep paralysis then to try and find out what it was, whether it was spirit or it was something different. And I was quite surprised at the outcome of it, to be honest. A very interesting subject.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, I've also looked into cases of like schizophrenia and things like that. And some cases, are they schizophrenia? You really, really, I mean, 100 years ago, if you believed in a ghost or a werewolf or even mentioned it, you'd be chucked into the loony bin and committed as insane.
It's not only that, if you were a witch, believed in witch, you were hung, thrown in the water.
Yeah.
Now,
Well, even in the 1950s, even in the 1950s and 60s, you would be sectioned if you were a member of the pagan religion.
Yeah.
And they found out about it. Yeah.
So paganism was still shrouded as an evil cultist.
My grandmother, my mother's mother, was a hereditary pagan, and she was stuck in a what do you call it these days? Asylum, just because that was her religion.
Mm.
Yeah. Spent years in there. Yeah.
That's
only done because no one understood it then.
Yeah.
No. Well,
and it was also mainly Christianity. I mean, Christians at that time, the whole Christian thing was like, that's the only way to God. They're a bit more liberal about it now, but at that time, all Christians most Christians would say, no, there's only one way to God, and that's through Jesus. So they just had this really arrogant attitude in the sort of mental health community, and they just judged. I mean, like you'd have a Catholic psychiatrist who believed that this guy was nailed to a cross and then died and then was put in a cave with a big rock against it, and then he got out somehow, and then he appeared to all the people that he knew, and then he ascended to heaven in front of them. And he would believe that, but he would section somebody who believed that the eternal mountains and the countryside have spirits, and who believed in a goddess or whatever. It's a bit hypocritical, really.
It's hypocritical. I agree with you there, mate, because you know, yeah. I mean, there is also I did also find a NATO leaked information film from 2007.
Yeah.
I can't find it again now. Strange, isn't it? I wish I'd have done 4K then. But it was that Jesus had actually returned to Earth in 2007. And it was strange, the same year that a UFO had appeared over the White House and America sent 50 fighter jets up, and all but 2 of them got destroyed. And the aliens, and this was a top defunct who's had a car accident since, United States Air Force commander that spoke out, and he said when they came down, America responded with violence and they lost 48 planes. The next day, there was a statement sent down to the White House. They were sorry for the Americans' loss, but they hadn't retaliated. They hadn't fired a shot. It was their force field that had destroyed the planes. They simply disintegrated on impact of the force field. However, the aliens said they had rectified it now, and if they wanted to send the planes back up to attack, they wouldn't get destroyed when they got to the ship. So the Americans, instead of turn around and go, hey, thank you very much, went, okay, we'll send 100 fighter jets up this time. And they didn't lose one of them, didn't lose one plane. But every pilot said on the bombing run that when they got so close to the ship, the plane just diverted itself and came around it. And some invisible force took over their controls. So,
yeah,
you know, when I watched this NATO film about Jesus and whatever returning, because obviously I'm not religious, I'm not non-religious, but I'm open to every theory on earth, and everybody deserves his voice. And basically, this man had appeared in Jerusalem over this mosque, and he came onto the streets preaching. Sorry, it was 2007. I found the film. I think it was. He was preaching. I can't remember the years, but something. That man was destroying the planet. He was doing this, and the wars must stop, and because of the Palestinian thing then and whatever. And he and the Israeli authorities obviously responded by beating the shit out of him and locking him in a dungeon. Where the next day he was found walking the streets again, preaching the gospel again, saying, look, the wrath of God will be felt. So obviously the Israeli authorities took him into the jail cell and repeatedly beat him for about 12 hours until he could no longer walk or speak. And the next day he was out on the streets and he said, look, I am the prince of so-and-so, and I have come to warn you, you know me as Jesus. And he vanished, only to reappear on the streets of America. And he said, look, if you do not listen to my demands, you will feel the wrath of God. And the wrath of God, he said, I will flood New Orleans. God will flood New Orleans to show you the power of God. And the Americans responded by beating the shit out of him on the street publicly, putting him in the back of the van and taking him to somewhere like Guatemala Bay, before tying him up, chaining him to a wall and beating him further, interrogating him. And only for the next day for him to appear on the streets preaching again. And he said, do you not understand this yet? You can't harm me with violence. Violence will never be the king. The true king is faith and belief and peace. And he said, you must stop. You must stop these wars and so forth. And it's in America's and Israel's control. And again, they took him to the dungeon and beat the shit out of him and put him on watch. And what the guard virtually said that the chains released from his wrists and his ankles, his wounds got better, and he got up and he walked straight through the bars, past them, smiling, and floated up the steps. So NATO got pretty worried that a human being could do this, and then they figured out it wasn't actually a human being. Yeah? The mothership was there at the same time, and so forth. So all these things are, if you've ever read a book called Was God a Spaceman, you'll understand it. If you haven't read the book Was God a Spaceman or Chariots of the Gods, bloody well read it now, because it will explain a lot to you. Just like the book Paul I said about the Philadelphia experiment, yeah?
Yeah. I'm going to make a
Anyway,
move because I've got work tomorrow.
Right, I'm going to end the live stream there. It's been thanks so much for watching us, guys. We will be back on next week at 8 o'clock. I'm going to end the live stream there. We have our 2 minutes afterwards, all us lot. Thanks so much. If you do want to come on next week, just mothership. Oh yeah. That was an absolute I think we will talk about this next week, but I will have to end the stream because there's some guys who want to go here.
Yeah, I've got work tomorrow.
Thank you so much for watching us, guys. Watching us live, absolutely superb. Thank you so much.